Good morning, pop culture. We are live. It is Monday, November 19th, 2018. It's 7:52 a.m., and it's time to start your day with the internet morning show they don't want you to hear. So, folks, we are back. It is the week of Thanksgiving, and while people are getting ready for Black Friday and gorging themselves on crazy amounts of food, we are here to talk about the world of entertainment while you're hashtag working and lurking or on your way to school, or you're off today and you're just taking some time off to enjoy your family, or, you just want to listen to this show. I get it. Either way, welcome in to Good Morning Pop Culture. Today's show is jam-packed, and that's not just a selling technique. We're going to be talking about the title. Venom has now surpassed Star Wars at the all-time box office worldwide. Oh my God, never thought I'd live to see that day. We're also going to be talking about Bill Maher and Stan Lee. Ugh. We're also going to be talking about Fantastic Beasts, the possibility of Doctor Who's cancellation, the female Doctor Who, and a whole lot more. So, while we're waiting to hit our magical number of 200, let's do what we do on most Mondays, and let's talk about the box office. So, over the weekend, we had a Harry Potter spinoff, which I was never going to watch. I doubt most of our listeners out there were going to watch as well. I don't think of this as a very pro-Harry Potter crowd. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Once or twice. That's about it. You can't prove the second time. So, it looks like Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, or Griswold, depending on, never mind, debuted at number 1 with $62 million. The Grinch jumped down to number 2, Bohemian Rhapsody at number 3, Instant Family debuted at 4, and Widows debuted at number 5. Now, I don't know what 2 of the 5 films are in the top of the list, but Fantastic Beasts seems to be getting dumped on pretty hard. As I said, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I own the first 4 books. Don't really care. I got to the part where Harry Potter gets on the train platform, that half platform, and then I put the book down and I never read it again. I guess that would have been in 99 or 2000 when I was reading it, because those were popular back then. What was I worried about? Wrestling. I put down a Harry Potter book. I picked up The Rock Says. I read that book about 7 or 8 times. So at least I read a book. Maybe it wasn't The Fantastical World of Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, but I did read The Rock Says by The Rock and Joe Layden. So that used to be my favorite book. And then I, became cultured and developed a taste. So now my favorite book is Of Mice and Men. I think that's the best book ever written. But that's a topic for another morning. The coffee's still kicking in. The only reason I bring this up, though, is it seems to be getting shit on by the critics. It's got a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the fans are giving it a 70%. They liked it. So, again, it's just like Star Wars. It's just like, what was another one that came out this year? There's a huge fan discrepancy. All the Bayformers, all the DC stuff. Fans seem to like it more than the critics, and that is really not causing a problem at the box office. It debuted at number 1. It'll probably make its money back, and people will go on and want to watch a third one. So good for you, Harry Potter fans. At least your content, your brand isn't getting politicized. We have to hear about, look, if this was a Star Wars movie that opened like this, they would say, oh, it's the fault of Johnny Depp because he's white. No, this is a Warner Brothers property, and they don't have the benefit to say stupid shit like that because they don't own 90% of the entertainment world. They're just Warner Brothers. We had a super chat roll in already from Edward Hogue that says, Jeff, please cover Doctor Who. It's very sad. Edward, we are going to cover Doctor Who. We're going to talk about the possibility that Jodie Whittaker may not come back. So this Doctor Who Lady Edition may be a failed experiment. Yes, that is not me hyping up something. There is an article discussing the very real possibility that Doctor Who has overstayed its welcome. And, to hook you, to make you watch a little more of the show. I'll tell you the closer we get, later on in the show. Don't worry. Speaking of the show, folks, we're not going to be here every morning this week. We are not going to be here starting on Wednesday. We're not going to be here. It's the Thanksgiving weekend. I got stuff planned to do on Wednesday. Obviously, Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Friday's Black Friday. Now, you will hear from me, though, throughout the week. Don't think this is it. Because over the weekend, I did the one thing you guys all want. I made a single video. The short 20-minute videos. I went out into the field and filmed stuff. So if you're always craving more world-class bullshitters. Well, this is the week for it because I went out and I filmed enough content for 2 videos, which will be coming at you, one today, one later in the week, maybe next Monday, because the one today is being talked about in the news. It deals with our special friends at Marvel Comics. So there's a big rumor about Marvel dumping some books, and I went to go see if it was true. So you have to find out at 11 o'clock this morning, Eastern Standard Time, so a whopping 3 hours and 2 minutes from now, to see if it's true. But I am live streaming Black Friday. I bought the head mount that I talked about on World Class Bullshitters. And I will be out there fighting old ladies for TVs and Rubbermaid containers and all that fun stuff. The most American holiday is our Black Friday and Thanksgiving. So I'll be live streaming Black Friday for you guys. First person. It'll be a lot of fun. Now Phil's going to be driving, so I'll make sure that I kind of live stream the entire time. We'll even live stream the car rides. So that'll be a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that. And then next weekend, I don't really know what's going on. I know I have stuff to do personally. So just be on the lookout for those 3 things. And so now we're at a whopping 196 viewers. So let me get ready to start the main topic. See, I love it when everybody is super prepared. I'm ready. You're ready. We don't have to have any pointless filler. We can just start the show because there is some heavy-hitting shit. There is some heavy-hitting shit that I want to talk about, especially when we get to the Bill Maher stuff. I'm not angry per se. I'm just disappointed at the realization that there's literally nothing that will bridge the gap between comic fans and like entertainment. There's not one event that everyone can agree on is terrible and have respect for. It's always some garbage. And thank you, Bill Maher. So now it's time to talk about our main topic, though, Venom. So full transparency, I've never been a big Venom fan. You guys know that about me. I talk about it quite frequently here on this channel. I'm not afraid to give my opinions about something. So when the Venom film came out, I said, I'm not going to go watch this. So I didn't go watch it. I still have yet to see Venom, but I still consider myself one of the biggest Spider-Man fans living. When Steve Ditko passed away, I went to do a live stream to pay respect to his memory. Same thing with Stan Lee. So the 2 fathers of Spider-Man, the 2 creators, are definitely well respected here on this channel. So when this Venom film came out, I thought to myself, never liked the character. Why am I going to go see it? And I didn't. But just because I didn't go see something doesn't mean the rest of the world hasn't. And now Venom has become one of the highest grossing films of all time, and it just came out in China. So Venom has now passed Star Wars at the all-time worldwide box office. The film has been it has been a huge week for Venom, whose release in China on November 11th skyrocketed the film's box office numbers, making it one of the newest films to rank in the top 100 highest grossing films list. The other newest addition is The Incredibles 2, which is now ranked at number 15. Venom, which made $210 million domestically, surpassed Justice League last week after it earned $34.7 million on its opening day in China alone. The feat makes the film, which was directed by Ruben Fleischer, the second biggest opening day earner of a superhero movie in the country's box office history. After a full week, it has now beaten the original Star Wars, which has grossed $775.4 million worldwide. That puts Venom's new numbers at $780.5 million. It also managed to surpass Guardians of the Galaxy, which now stands at $773. Venom's current ranking is 84 on the worldwide list, moving towards Deadpool and Spider-Man 2, which currently stand at 783 and 783.8 million respectively. There's also a good chance it's going to keep moving up on the list. We can't help but keep an eye close to its movements. The fact that Venom would topple Star Wars is definitely a surprise considering the mixed reviews it received. While fans seemed to enjoy it, the critics had no love for the movie. However, it all comes down to money, and these box office numbers mean there's a very good chance we're getting a Venom sequel. While the second installment in the franchise has yet to be greenlit, almost a guarantee that we'll see Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock/Venom in the future. Fleischer has already shared some ideas on what may come. Venom is the first Marvel film that doesn't fit into the MCU or the X-Verse since The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014. Since the movie does not qualify as part of the MCU, the big question on everybody's mind is whether or not the anti-hero will face off with his most notorious enemy, Spider-Man. Those are words I never thought I would say in order. Top 100 Venom, outgrows Spider-Man, outgrows Star Wars, this, that, and the other. Jeez. That is all I can say right now. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not angry. The thing is, I'm not angry about anything we're talking about so far. I will get angrier the further we get into the show. But I'm just genuinely surprised. I did not see this coming at all. I did not see it coming at all. And most of you did not see it coming at all. And then a lot of people in our Facebook group, the private one, were like, "Hey, the movie's pretty good. You should give it a chance." And I said, "I'm really not interested." And now it looks like most of the world has given the movie a chance. So we're going to see more Venom. Now, I know a lot of people are out there saying, "Oh, man, Venom made all this money, blah, blah, blah. He'll never fight Spider-Man." I have a bigger question that may also be a part of the big problem for the MCU. So humor me if you will. Venom's a huge hit. What if it makes $1 billion? What if this makes Sony? It emboldens Sony to never, ever renew their agreement with Disney and Spider-Man. What if we never see another Spider-Man film in the MCU? They'll have to kill him off. They'll have to do something strange and bizarre to remove him because Spider-Man's a big moneymaker and Sony will not kill the IP, but Sony may get a big set on him and say, "You know what? No more MCU Spider-Man. Tom Holland, we're going to keep you, but you're no longer able to play with Iron Man and the rest of the crew." So then the MCU loses out on that. Captain America and Thor die in the next one. All these terrible things happen, and we're left with a Sony Marvel universe and a Disney Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is a bizarre future that is more possible than we can possibly imagine. It seems like we might be living there in that future soon, and I'm okay with that to a degree. Here's the thing. We always talk about competition creates a better product. And Marvel has been, since Disney bought them, they've been just buying up stuff left and right. Disney bought Marvel, they bought Star Wars, they bought other things. They own a majority stake in Hulu, they own 20th Century Fox. What if Sony is the hero we need, that Dark Knight style hero who comes out and kind of puts Disney in their place? Because all is not well in the MCU. They have won the first 3 battles. They've vanquished DC. Look, there's an article going around that's talking about how DC is going to recoup and reboot in 2019. I doubt it's going to work. I want Aquaman to be a hit. I want Shazam to be a hit. I thought the Shazam trailer was genuinely good, and I have interest in Aquaman. I like Jason Momoa. I love Amber Heard for many reasons. And the movie's interesting enough. It's got Jango Fett in it, so anything with Jango Fett, I'll watch. Yes, even 6 Days, 7 Nights starring Harrison Ford. But we'll have this Sony thing that could possibly usurp the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I'm not saying it's going to make $15 billion at the box office, but it could become the popular thing because remember, folks, just a few short years ago, let's go way back in the Wayback Machine to the year 2002. Okay, there was no MCU, but Spider-Man was the #1 hero in the world. 2004, Spider-Man, #1 hero in the world. 2007, basically that 5-year gap, nobody topped Spider-Man. Even Batman Begins, a movie that I feel is better than most Spider-Man films, did not beat Spider-Man at the box office. Not until 2008, when The Dark Knight came out, did the public's conscious switch from Marvel to DC. Now you'll say, what about Iron Man? What about the Hulk? Those movies were great, but more people were concerned with what Spider-Man 4 is going to be than what was the next MCU flick, because those movies were good and people liked them and they were hits, but there was no MCU proper. We didn't know what was going to go down. We still thought there was going to be an Ant-Man movie and a Submariner movie and all these other things, just like today. Oh, what's next? What's happening? But back then there were a lot less people in the know. Kevin Feige wasn't telling people at these press conferences, oh, here's the timeline, this, that, and the other. It was kind of rocky. We didn't know exactly what was going down. So even in a world where the MCU was a thing, other franchises were bigger. I'd say The Dark Knight really was the main event up until the first Avengers. And since 2012, it's been a 6-year ride for the MCU on top. And I like it. I'm a big MCU fan. But I haven't put the possibility of someone beating the MCU. So Venom has now reached what I say, number 84 on the top 100 list. Let's take a quick look at the top 100 list just to see what other things Venom is going to have to top. So as we look at this list, number 1 is Avatar. Oh, nope. Yeah. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong tab. But Avatar is number 1, followed by Titanic, then The Force Awakens, then Avengers Infinity War. Now, Infinity War and The Force Awakens are what? $20 million apart at the box office? I would hope, and I know this wouldn't, why would Disney care? They own them both. It's the same thing for them. I would love if they did an Infinity War re-release around the time of Part 2, and then that would up the box office to pass The Force Awakens to number 3. Back to the list, though, we have Jurassic World, The Avengers, Furious 7, Age of Ultron, Black Panther, and Harry Potter, and The Deathly Hallows Part 2 to close out the top 10. And number 11 is The Last Jedi. And then a lot of these are Marvel and Transformers, a lot of the big budget movies. James Bond makes the list at number 22. Cool. So this is what Venom has to come up against. So how close is it to its next competition? So it's only $3 million from Deadpool. So it's going to beat Deadpool. It's going to beat Spider-Man. It's going to beat Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Thank God. Conservative guess, I say Venom ends up somewhere around Thor Ragnarok or Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. So I say it jumps up about 20 spots, 18 spots conservatively. It's a movie that doesn't seem to be able to be stopped. Good for it. It could be fun popcorn stupidity that we all need. For me personally, maybe I'll go read some Venom comic books. So we had a couple super chats rolling. First off from the Pui. Good morning, Jeff. The Pui, good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for spending every day with me here on Good Morning Pop Culture. And then Cesario Japan says, Sony Films win is going to be negated by the BS done by the Sony PlayStation censorship. How does a U.S. arm determine what is okay in Japan? Hashtag VG titties. I was going to ask you what you were talking about until I saw the hashtag, and now I know what you're talking about. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be negated by the fan reaction. But I was paying attention to some Black Friday ads already, and the PlayStation Spider-Man combo pack is the hottest thing out so far. It's actually sold out from most retailers. I was trying to help a lady that my mom works with get one for her son because he's 8, and the mom's been saving, and all the kid wants is a PlayStation 4 and Spider-Man. I'm like, oh man, I hope you can get one. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think the one thing that's going to be a black mark on Sony for the end of the year is going to be that PlayStation Classic. I love the original PlayStation. I had it when it was new. It was the first thing we ever bought from a Meijer. Hell, it was the first time I ever stepped foot in a Meijer store. But I just don't think that's going to be the hit that people want. And I don't think that means it's going to be a bad system. I think you got a lot of these fans that are into these JRPGs and stuff like that. And I think they're going to have, basically the PlayStation was such a huge success and it had so many great games that everybody's PlayStation experience was different. And because there were so many great games and because there were so many people that played it, you can't distill that experience down to 20 games. The Nintendo, there was a ton of crap, but everybody loved Mario and Zelda and Metroid and all that shit. Same with the Super Nintendo. There was a lot of shit on there, but then there was also Super Mario World, Metroid, Zelda. It's a very easy process to follow. If there's ever eventually a Nintendo 64 classic, it'll be Mario, Zelda, hopefully GoldenEye one day. But I guess the censorship of boobs, look at whatever game they're censoring the boobs out of, I'm not going to buy. I don't find the censorship of boobs to be a good thing. And you're right in the chat. It is the next step. Oh, these are censored, then that's censored. Thankfully, with the internet, people will always be able to know what is and what isn't censored, and they can call out and they can complain, and eventually they'll release a patch. If the censorship is giving in to the NPC crowd, well, then damn it, that's a mistake because those people don't spend money. Sometimes a little bit of TNA will sell, and that's the case here. By the way, I want to give a very special shout out. We're not going to have a World Class Bullshitters podcast this week because it's Thanksgiving Day. So we're going to release a commentary for planes, trains, and automobiles. But normally on the show, we always give a shout out to our listener of the week. And I'd like to do that very early this week to a guy named Dr. Coffin Nails, because Dr. Coffin Nails did something really cool. He went out of his way to support our friend Lauren, who is the voiceover narrator for some of the intros to our episodes. And he went out of his way to watch her video and give her a nice comment. So, Dr. Coffin Nails, you rock, dude. I've met you before. You're a good dude. Thumbs up from all of us here at World Class Bullshitters. And I appreciate you helping out Lauren. Midnight Cherry TV, thank you very much for super chat. I'd get a PS4 bundle if there was Mystery Men RPG. God. I thought of you yesterday because somebody posted in a Facebook group that I'm a member of a Mystery Men comic book autographed by Kel Mitchell. And I was like, Midnight Cherry TV would like this. And then I thought, I would like this to be autographed by everyone on the cover because I'm a Mystery Men fan like you, dude. So, I wish you would get one. Ugh. Well, that's going to hurt Sony then, Cesario Japan. That's going to hurt them big time. Like I said, guys, it's going to be the slow and steady that wins the race in a lot of these things, especially with video games. We thought Nintendo was down and out the last generation. Oh, the Wii U, nobody plays the Wii U. It looks like a lot of people got the Switch, and a lot of people are buying games, and the Nintendo Switch is kicking ass. Xbox 360 was really kicking ass beginning of last generation. PlayStation 3 kind of tied or slightly beat it. It's funny how these things work, and sometimes the tried and true comes back in style, and it's really in style. Like I said a while ago, Nintendo is like what else was there? Nintendo and Star Wars are two similar things because you may be into them all the time, and you may talk to certain people that are into it, but when the next big thing comes out, more people than you can possibly imagine come out to support it. So you'll never know who comes out of the woodwork to support all of that stuff. For those wondering, my weekend was great. It was a lot of work, though. Friday, what I do? Worked on the comic. Saturday, what did I do? I filmed some footage, and I worked on the comic. I finished 2 pages this weekend. Then yesterday, I made the video that you guys are going to watch at 11 o'clock, and I went to watch Survivor Series at Phil's house. And it was it was some time. So the Venom stuff, again, was just a shocker to me. But part of me would like to see, and I know this sounds really messed up, part of me would like to see Sony become viable against the MCU proper. Because Cesario Japan's talking about conformity of the Japanese developers to the US Western San Francisco Bay standards. Well, Captain Marvel is going to be a change for a lot of these movies. And if that makes a bunch of money and they're the only game in town, well, then they'll think, well, that's what we're going to move to because people are the most receptive to it. And it's not really that they're receptive to that kind of shit. It's that people like Marvel, that red logo really incites a lot of emotion, be it positive, negative. You think of yourself as a child. You think of all kinds of stuff when you look at that Marvel logo. Me, I go back to, I don't know, I guess I would say my most prime Marvel fandom phase would be around 2002 when Spider-Man was out. I couldn't get enough of that. I'd buy shitty magazines, crappy action figures, good action figures, any video game. I would watch anything that had anything to do with comic books. I was obsessed. And it stuck with me till about 5-ish. Then I got back into wrestling pretty hardcore because I made some friends that were into it as well. But I look at that logo and I have a lot of good feelings. But I am self-aware enough to know what's going on behind the scenes, what they're trying to promote, what they're trying to push. You guys know that too. That is why there is such a big audience on this channel, because people are more aware of the garbage that goes into their entertainment. They don't just roll over and take it. And I think that's a very good, positive thing. So I'm very excited for the future in that regard, because people think, oh, it's going to be this totalitarian future where they put this, that, and the other out there. Yeah, but as an audience, we'll just say fuck it, and we're not going to go watch it. And somebody else is going to come up and create something that's even better and more original, and then that will change the face of entertainment. Folks, it's all about the money. Look at Venom. Look at anything. It's all about the money. If you guys can tap into that one vein and really, really speak to a lot of people, well, then, damn it, you are the next big thing. You are the Brock Lesnar. And it's pretty goddamn cool. So that's pretty much all I got to say about Venom this morning. If you guys have any more questions, we can obviously always go back. You guys control the show. And no, I would not play a Captain Marvel video game. I wouldn't play a lot of video games based on MCU characters. It's not just Captain Marvel. I wouldn't play what wouldn't I play? Who's a hero that doesn't deserve their own game? Ant-Man? Well, Ant-Man could be actually kind of cool. See, the thing is, with Captain Marvel, the video game, it would just be Superman 64. when a hero has no vulnerabilities, they're not very interesting. Like in the Wolverine game for the Xbox 360, you could die in that game. Yes, you could regenerate, but you could also die. And when your heroes are invulnerable, they're just not that interesting. So a Captain Marvel character or a Captain Marvel video game, much like a Superman game, would just be, I'll pass. But Ant-Man could be cool. You could go into the quantum realm and do all kinds of crazy shit. Iron Man's had some games. They weren't that good. Captain America had one that was pretty fun, actually. I enjoyed the Captain America video game for the Xbox 360. I think I got most of the achievement points. Guardians of the Galaxy would be cool, too. Just for some reason, because all those characters can be killed easily. A video game as Thanos would be fun for about 5 minutes because all you're doing is snapping people out of existence, and that's it. So speaking of snapping out of existence, I know a lot of people have heard about this story, and it's time to talk about the hot button issue of the weekend, because sometimes big news comes out over the weekend, but like most people, you're busy doing your own shit during the weekend. So I know a couple channels have talked about this, and now this is my piece. I'm not going to release anything more about it. I'm angry, but for a different reason. And the Daredevil video game got canceled, so Google that. After you're done watching Good Morning Pop Culture, go check out the Daredevil game that was almost made. I think it was Unseen 64 is the name of the channel. So on Saturday, Bill Maher tried to become relevant again by using the death of Stan Lee, politicizing it and attacking comic book fans for mourning the loss of an icon. Now, I first read the post on the toilet, so that was appropriate. But when I began to think about it, I got kind of angry. Now, if you don't know the story, I'm going to paraphrase an article from Time magazine, and you guys can basically get the gist of it. So comedian Bill Maher has come under fire for a blog post where he suggests comic book readers are immature and targets Stan Lee just days after his death. Maher's thoughts on comic book culture were posted in a Real Time with Bill Maher blog on Saturday. He seems to equate comic books with arrested development in American culture and bemoans adults who love kid stuff. The post-adulting comes less than a week after Stan Lee died at age 95. Lee was a comic book writer behind some of Marvel Comics' most iconic superheroes. The guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning. Deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to do, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess, Maher wrote. The assumption everyone had, back when I was a kid, both the adults and the kids, was that comics were for kids, and when you grew up, you moved on to big boy books without pictures. Maher writes that sometime in the last 20 years, adults decided they didn't have to give up kid stuff and pretend comic books were actually sophisticated literature. Maher capped off his blog post by claiming that comic books haven't made people any stupider, but were now being used, our smarts were being used for stupid stuff. I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important, he wrote. Maher's comments about Lee and comic book fans just days after the legend's passing did not sit well with many. And here are a couple tweets. Bill Maher dissed an entire storytelling medium? Wow, he's so highbrow. His brows are so high, there's possibly less room for a brain. I messed that one up. It's crazy to me that Bill Maher is using Stan Lee's death to insult the maturity of comic book fans. It's crazy that out of all the characters, for him to assert his intellectual superiority over the ignorant masses is a shill, strident, obnoxious, and attention-seeking way. In a way. Let's see what else. The fact that only Bill Maher can score heat anymore by saying Stan Lee is responsible for Donald Trump should inspire someone to some introspection in the dude about how pathetic he is now. But that was possible, he wouldn't be Bill Maher. And then Jessica says, Bill Maher used to be my idol. To draw in Stan Lee to a point that made me was sick. One who decides to diss one's stance on make-believe that enforces the greater want to achieve a better world is like a bully who says Santa is fake. We all know it, but let one hope. Hope is real. Now, I know we discussed this on the High Council, but it was true. The death of Stan Lee can't bridge the gap. If he can't, then literally nobody can. In the world of social media, i.e. saying shit behind a keyboard, people feel emboldened to be the biggest piece of trash they can possibly be, or in Bill Maher's case, his true identity. So what is Bill Maher's true identity? Trash man. Yes, folks, it's trash man. Slower than a glob of drying paint. Less powerful than an anemic. Able to get an erection 3 times a year. This strange asshole from another time. The man with no tact? Trash man. Superman illusions aside, let's be honest here. Super is not a word to describe Bill Maher. This was in incredibly poor taste. Stan Lee was a source of positivity in this really, really bad political climate that we see seeping into our entertainment every single day. Attacking Stan Lee is like attacking Mr. Rogers. If social media existed in 2003, I bet a lot of these people would have done the same thing. Now, this isn't Bill Maher's first or second or 50th faux pas. Remember his show Politically Correct? I do too. It was the show that meant it was time for bed. But if you don't remember, it created a monster. ABC announced today that Politically Incorrect, its late-night comedy discussion program, will go off the air in January and be replaced by a show starring the comedian Jimmy Kimmel. Yes, folks, Bill Maher's show being canceled was responsible for the creation of the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And this was way back in May of 2002. 10 days after Spider-Man had come out in theaters, we got this news. So for all the shit that Bill Maher wants to talk about, every time he flies off at the mouth, he creates something terrible. And now we live in a world where Jimmy Kimmel is the moral center of the entertainment world. So thank you, Bill. Thank you for being an insufferable D-bag. Thank you for creating Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel, you'll never hear this, but man, I just go back to being good. And yeah, there was a time where Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla were awesome. They were funny. The Man Show. Oh, I'm embarrassed of my past. Why? Because you were actually funny? And some people on the internet might get offended? You know, it's sad. I watch stand-up all the time. I watch old stand-up. I watch new stand-up. The old stuff is just head and shoulders above what is currently out. Well, today's is more, it's more observational and this and that. You know what? It was observational back in the day, too, and it was fucking funny. Eddie Murphy used to be a funny man. Red Fox, when he was still alive, funny man. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, funny men. Now, George Carlin was able to be political, but still funny and poignant. He hit you with some hard shit, but he was still funny. Not the case with any of these people anymore. Amy Schumer's point is, my vagina. That's the joke, guys. That's the joke. Which she ripped off from Dave Attell or countless other stand-up comedians. But Bill Maher's show brought us Jimmy Kimmel. So if you're mad at Bill Maher for what he said about Stan Lee, that's fine. You have every right to. It was in bad taste. I don't like when you attack Stan Lee. He was just an old, happy man. Well, publicly he was happy. We know how he really was behind the scenes. We've heard all the articles and all the information come out. But it's an easy target for Bill Maher, and it's just so classless. I guess I shouldn't expect any more. Bapui, thank you very much again. Seems like Bill hasn't given up kid stuff. He's still a Democrat. Ouch. I'll burn right there. Well, the thing is with Bill Maher, I've never been a fan. I don't really watch his show. Here's the thing. I don't have to have all these people have the same political stance as I do. I really don't have a political stance that can be, listed in one or two ways. And that's fine. I don't need to really talk about that. This isn't a political platform. But this shit seeps into entertainment culture, geek culture. Stan Lee was the granddad of geek culture, the godfather, the icon, the man. Even though he gave himself that title. But you know what? Rightly so. You know what? I want to bring up a point that I forgot to bring up in Stan Lee's passing last week. And this will be one of the final times I bring him up ever, unless it's anecdotal. I'll never forget. I was in college. And I was in a class about creating comic books. And it was on DC Comics. Or we were watching a documentary on DC Comics. And they would have Jim Lee. They would have Dan Didio. They had all these DC creators. And then you hear this one distinct voice. And now when everybody else was talking, I would say, Jim Lee, creator of artist Batman Hush. Dan Didio, this, that. So-and-so, writer of this book. All DC stuff. But when Stan Lee popped up, it just said Stan Lee, the man. And Stan Lee was on like a Batman documentary or something. It was so cool and so bizarre to have Stan Lee be on a Batman documentary. He had just transcended, the DC Marvel lines. It was just all comic books. He was, every comic book fan's favorite. So I just thought that was a cool moment that just popped right back into my mind. If I ever find the documentary, it might be on Justice League: The New Frontier. It was definitely on one of those DC animated movies. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, check it out. It's it's great. But this Bill Maher thing is just rubbing people the wrong way. I don't think, one, Stan Lee just passed away. It's, give it a week. If somebody that Bill Maher respects and admires dies, do you think he's going to allow people to talk shit 4 days after they die? No, he'll get on Twitter and rant and do something stupid. He'll use a blog like it's 1998 all over again. But this was just in bad taste, and it was the wrong time. So Bill Maher got his 5 minutes again in the spotlight. Good for you, Bill. Go back to HBO and get ripped apart by Omarosa or any other people out there. It's funny. I looked up Bill Maher, stupid things Bill Maher's done. I actually Googled that, and the first thing that popped up was his show got canceled based on the stupid crap he said around 9/11. And now we're here 17 years later, and he's still saying dumb crap. Now, HBO's not going to let him go, because once Game of Thrones ends, what else are people going to watch over there? John Oliver? But that's my take on this whole Bill Maher Stan Lee thing, and I'm really interested to see what you guys say, because if you found out about it over the weekend, you were probably angry. Incredibly bad taste. And, seriously, Stan Lee's death is being politicized, and nobody's death or no event will ever bridge the gap between left, right, or any form of entertainment on any part of the spectrum. Maybe Clint Eastwood's death will be politicized because of his stance. Stan Lee kind of always kept it like, hey, comics are for everybody. Hey there, true believer, and all that stuff. I don't know. When I think of Clint Eastwood, I think of, Make My Day and all that shit. George R. R. Martin stated that Stan Lee was a major influence. Well, I did not know that. I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, but I'm surprised to hear that. Yeah, Stan Lee's everybody's influence. Man, I miss Stan Lee. So let's see what else we're going to talk about this morning. It's going a lot faster than I thought. We're only 30 minutes into the show. I was like, we'll be talking about this for hours. I guess not. So let's see. Where are we at? Oh, yeah. The thing I guess most people want to hear about. I guess this is what people would consider the main event, because people love a good controversy. People love to talk about bullshit. So let me pull up a picture of this bullshit, and we'll get ready. Because this could be the best news you hear all day. It may not be, but it very well could be. Because with the holiday coming up, Thanksgiving, people are going to be busy. People are going to be traveling, dealing with a lot of stressful shit. So let me give you some news, some hope, if you will, that the future may be brighter. So everyone that is watching, look at your screen right now. Yes, this suspender-wearing, striped shirt-having lady is now considered the Doctor. Now, I haven't watched Doctor Who in some seasons, Peter Capaldi, but I know a lot of people aren't very happy with the transformation that Doctor Who is now, or the Doctor is now a woman. People are not watching the show in the same numbers that they used to be. There's huge drop-offs. People are pissed. People are angry. But you know what might kill the show? Not the SJW politics, not any of this stuff. You know what may cancel the show? The fact that the BBC wants more. So, check this out. I found this interesting. This article came from We Got This Covered. Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall, that's a name I've never read before, rumored to leave Doctor Who in 2019. For fans of Doctor Who Season 11, we've got some unfortunate news. Despite the latest run being well received by both critics and viewers for the most part, and Jodie Whittaker doing an excellent job in the titular role, according to you, it seems that things will soon be changing and a new star and creative team will take over in 2019. Starburst magazine is reporting that a source at the BBC has told them that the showrunner, Chris Chibnall, isn't happy with how things are being run behind the scenes and is looking to quit Doctor Who after season 12. If that happens, then apparently Whittaker will walk out the door with him, as she doesn't want to continue on if he leaves. Another outlet, fan site, Outpost Scarco, believes that 2019 will bring us only 5 or 6 episodes plus a Christmas special. This is due to BBC's demand for at least one season a year, but Chibnall claiming that a full series a year is unsustainable. As such, he's decided to compromise and produce only a handful of episodes. That being said, Though if the BBC is unable to find a new showrunner by 2019, Chibnall may need to oversee all 10 installments, which would be split between 2019 and 2020. But circling back to Jodie, and Outpost Scaro says the series a year will be too much for the young mum, and the actress will likely hand over the keys to the TARDIS as a tradition next Christmas. But it's not only Whittaker and Chibnall who are on their way out. It's Bradley Walsh and Tosin Cole who will likely walk away from the show too, while Madden, I don't even know who the fuck these people are. Do you? Press 1 if you do. Of course, the BBC has yet to officially comment on any of this, and until they do, we advise you taking this all with a pinch of salt. It would, however, be a real shame if Jodie and Chris only lasted 2 seasons. This new era of Doctor Who may have done away with several long-time traditions, but what has been thoroughly enjoyable so far, and fans seem to love having Whittaker in the lead role. With any luck, things will be sorted out behind the scenes, and she'll be able to stay on the TARDIS a bit longer, but right now, it is certainly not sounding good. You know, it's funny how this article by Matt Joseph just keeps trying to tell you everybody loves this, everything is great. But then we have then we have pieces of information. It's like, yeah, it's dropping 2 million per episode and this, that, and the other thing. So Doctor Who seems to be in a very iffy place right now. Swinging Cod, thank you very much for your super chat. Between Mayor kissing on Lee and Congressman talking about nuking U.S. gun owners, Friday was really, truly weird. I didn't even hear about the latter part of your comment, and I'm probably not going to want to hear about it because it'll just be, again, it's just a stupid comment and bad taste that, man, people are just so out of touch right now. That Hall & Oates song really, really is poignant. And if you have to know what I'm talking about, just Google Out of Touch, Out of Time. But yeah, this weekend was interesting. But what I do normally when stupid crap like that comes out is I just stay focused on the channel work. And we've seen another uptick in growth. View counts are going up like crazy. Subscriber counts up. We'll finally hit 76,000 subscribers. Can't wait to get out of the 70s and up to the 80s. It's been so rough. But you know what? We're going to do it. As a community, as a group, we're going to make it happen. We're just going to keep pushing forward with Good Morning Pop Culture, the videos, all kinds of fun stuff. But this Doctor Who situation, for me at least, it caused all kinds of controversy online. And for me, it's funny. Now, that the thing that will kill it won't be the lack of fans watching. It's the fact that the BBC wants more and that they cannot do it. So they'll split up the show. They'll make smaller episodes over a longer period of time. And then before you know it, the people are going to walk away. Now, I thought, and it still could happen, the way that they were going to really ingratiate themselves with the long-time Whovian fans will be, oh, David Tennant comes out to support her. You know, we always get, like when Kelly Marie Tran had all that shit, you had like Mark Hamill and all these people coming out of the woodwork to defend it. I don't recall, even though I don't follow Doctor Who lore as much as I used to, David Tennant coming out of the woodwork to defend her. Cool. David Tennant, you kicked ass as the Doctor. You were great in Jessica Jones. You're the best part of a bad show, which makes you still great because you're David Tennant. But the show hasn't had the same level of fun or quality since David Tennant left. It got real popular in America during the Matt Smith run, but for me, I still was pining over the David Tennant era. The episodes were better. It's like episodes were hit after hit after hit. With the Matt Smith stuff, you had like a couple good ones, and then you had like 10 filler. Then you had a couple good ones and like one filler. And then one good one and a bunch of filler. It was hit and miss all the time. With every companion that Doctor Who or the Doctor had as David Tennant, each companion was interesting, had stuff that she added to the show, and I liked them. I liked Rose, I liked Martha Jones, and I liked Donna Noble. I liked them all. Yes, even Donna Noble. She was funny at times. Catherine Tate, I believe her name was. But then you get to this whole Amy Pond, I'm in love with the Doctor shit, and I'm just like, and then Rory's a cuck, and this shit happens, and they're dead, they're not dead, they're trapped in time. That to me is the epitome of a show going too far, and it jumped the shark with Matt Smith. So I'm glad if you enjoy the Matt Smith stuff, more power to you. Go wear your fucking bow ties out in public. Idio Hagima, thank you very, very much. They should have stopped with Doctor Who when Smith left. Capaldi's stint was awful. He's a good actor, but the shit writers vomited on screen was awful. No surprise, it got worse. I never saw a Capaldi episode, not out of protest, just because I didn't even finish the Matt Smith run. Doctor Who was a show that I watched with Joel. Now, if you listen to the old episodes of the show, you'll hear Joel every once in a while. I believe he's on like 20 episodes of 149, excuse me. So, Joel was a presence. With Joel and I, we would watch the show every single day, and it was a lot of fun. But when he moved, I just thought, that era's over. We would watch Doctor Who, we'd watch Skin Wars, we'd watch these shows, we'd eat our Chipotle, and it was fun. The show was a symbol of our friendship. And when he moved away, we remained friends to this day, but the show did fade away. I'm glad I got to see what I saw. It was fun. I was into it for a while. It has a great theme song. But I think what was important is that it got me aware to a lot of the politically correct era of geek culture, because Doctor Who had dabbled in this stuff during the Smith era, and now it's kind of full-blown. And a lot of these sci-fi shows are testing grounds for ideas they're going to put into other entertainment, because they find that people in geek culture seem to be, I don't want to say more enlightened than your average person, but put it like this: when it trickles down into like NFL territory, if it hasn't been widely accepted by a bigger group of people, if you were to put it there, this weird fringe thing, people would blow up and it wouldn't work. So these people know what they're doing, and it's not good for anyone involved. If you're a fan of a show that gets infused with this crap, it's like the Venom that Vince McMahon wanted to kill the WWF with, the NWO. Well, I don't know what we want to call it here in 2018, excuse me. I'm living in the future like Mike Zero. But it's here, it's in Doctor Who, it's in Star Wars, it's in Star Trek. It's disappointing. But thank you, Idio Hugima. Also, thank you to Jonathan Hurst. Morning, Jeff. Thanks for the great show. Jonathan Hurst, thank you very much for joining me every day. And thanks for the great icon. I've been wanting to watch Indiana Jones so bad, but, duty calls. That's okay. Like Inspector Gadget says, I'm always on duty. So we got a lot of love for David Tennant, as we should. Stopped watching after the Rosa episode. Shit, I would never watch. I don't think a Rosa Parks themed episode has anything to do with Doctor Who. They do keep ruining everything. Joel's fine. He's alive and well. He's going to WrestleMania with me in April. We got our tickets this past weekend, so everything's good there. When they said they were out of Diaz and the show running had been running for too long, nostalgia, maybe it's time to say goodbye. Yeah, it is time to say goodbye. No, I have not seen that 80s Buck Roger pilot. I'll check it out, though. Somebody's got a link on YouTube. We'll check it out. But I'm hoping that this Doctor Who thing, here's the thing. The way the culture is being infused with these garbage politics, I'd like to see die. But what I take more pleasure in, yes, like with Star Wars, it is changing, and it is because the fans are pushing back hard. Doctor Who changing and falling apart is because of its ineptitude. It's failing on its own, and that's the funniest thing. Like with Star Wars, it's like we're telling people, like, hey guys, this is what they're doing to the characters. They're bastardizing their legacy, this, that, and the other. We're entrenched in the Star Wars battle. It's really like an Empire versus Rebel Alliance thing. We all saw how Return of the Jedi ends. But with Doctor Who, just, we're pushing for this, we're doing that, and nope. And then it falls apart because of behind the scenes shit. And hell, even if you do find a new showrunner to take over and Jodie Whittaker leaves, I doubt they're going to go push for more of this socially conscious Doctor Who. I mean, what happened to fun? Remember the episode that took place in the future when they were at the Olympics and the little girl was drawing the pictures and all the people would like get stuck in the wall or something? That was cool. Or the Absorbaloff's my favorite episode where, what is that? Linda something, that was the name of their paranormal group, and the guy fell in love with that girl, Emmett, and Elton was his name. And it was a great episode too. The Tenet stuff was just a great fun run. It was like early It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like episodes or seasons 3 through whatever. Every episode was a hit. And then you get where you draw it out for so long and people just kind of run out of ideas. I feel like that is where we are with Doctor Who and a lot of geek cultures. We've run out of ideas. It's time to just let it rest. Doctor Who did go away for a while, much like James Bond. It was bizarre. Who lasted? Okay, so they both came out in '62 in terms of TV or movies, and they had their big long runs, and then they kind of took a break. Doctor Who took a how long was Doctor Who's break? It came back in '05. Goldeneye came back in '95. There was a 6-year gap for James Bond, but then these things come back and they're bigger than ever. Yes, and I do mean that. With Doctor Who. Now, GoldenEye was a new renaissance for James Bond. I wouldn't argue that the '60s was the biggest era for Bond, but either way, the shows came back with renewed vigor, renewed interest from the fans. Taking breaks is a good thing. They are a good thing. The all-day Star Wars stream Salvador is Saturday, December 1st, 2018. We're starting at 10 a.m. with episode 1. I got your email. Here it is, folks. If you're a patron, you can be on a movie. Just shoot me a message. I believe some movies have already been claimed, so that's the case. We might allow 2 per movie, so that'll only be 4 people or 5 people doing a commentary. Because let's be honest, Nick and Kendo will be there, but they don't really have too much to say about Star Wars movies. Joel doesn't watch Doctor Who still. Joel was in the military. Joel has different ideals about things. He does not believe in the NPC culture at all. He's been against it for decades before I even knew what it was. So Joel was like the Mike Zero of NPC culture. Let's see. Cesare Japan, thank you very much. Geek culture is accepting, but not by gunpoint. Yeah. We're being forced into a lot of this stuff. But thankfully, you can just take your money elsewhere and not be accepting of it. And like with Venom and other things, where the money is, the success follows the money, obviously, because money equals success. But these companies want to make more and more and more, and it's always about a battle of superiority. And if they do not make the money, well, then their franchises and IPs die. Astaroth, thank you very much. As far back as the second Doctor, late 60s, a female doctor was alluded to being possible. A female doctor is not a bad idea, but it is the feminist ideology that has ruined it, not the idea itself. Well, Astaroth, I don't watch 60s Doctor Who at all. I just watch straight up Eccleston through most of Smith. So that is my interest. That is where it begins and ends. If that's the case, fine. But they shit the bed with the execution. So if the theory was always there, they just did it poorly. I don't think that justifies the execution of the Rosa Parks episodes and other things like that. The pregnant man. They're trying to make all these political points back to back to back. It's like put one a season in. Have the Thinking episode around Christmas so people know when to skip it. But you've turned the whole show into that. Are there Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who action figures? I don't know. And if they are they successful? Because you know me, I'm the toy guy. I go to these stores. Doctor Who toys were fairly popular a couple years ago. There were 2 different toy lines. There were the 3 3/4 inch, and there were the 5 or 6 inch figures. And you could every once in a while you could find the Doctor. You could find like a Tennant or maybe a Matt Smith in the cowboy hat. But you would always find the companions. You'd always find like Rose Tyler and Donna Noble and all their figures. You just see them sitting there, and they would never really, really move. And so if you go by the logic of female action figures sell less than the male counterpart, well, then Doctor Who, from a merchandising standpoint, the little boys that want to play as the Doctor may not want to play as the Doctor. And that could also cause a rift for some people. Not saying you don't make female action figures, obviously. I own tons of them, like Princess Leia, China from the WWF, all the female Power Rangers that were out back when I was a kid. It's not about that. I'm just thinking out loud how she's going to affect that if they're going to be making tons and tons of Jodie Whittaker figures like they did other ones, and are they going to be as successful? They canceled the Christmas special for the first time ever. Is that because they think Christmas they're too woke for Christmas? Is that the case, or is there an actual reason behind it? Because that kind of stuff pisses me off. If it's a tradition that no one has a problem with, why change it? It's like you're creating problems by removing something that was never a problem in the first place. It's like it's like to cut your nose off to spite your face. It's basically that. It's stupid. Thank you, Salvador. It sucks that you got to work night shift. But if you can pop in, I will shoot you the link if you just remind me, because when people email us over on or message us on Patreon, I get an email to my phone directly. So all you got to do, guys, is if you ever need to contact me like that way, if it's an emergency and you're a patron, that is the best way because it goes directly to my phone. And I will be on the lookout at the P.O. box for your stuff. Does Jodie Whittaker look like Alf? I don't know. So it looks like people... So, they canceled it so they don't offend anyone. Huh. Yeah, Doctor Who's dead in the water. Just cancel this shit. Like I'm telling you guys, for as much as they try to twist and bastardize and mangle things that we all love in entertainment, the first time they go back to something traditional and classic, it's going to make a fuckload of money. Anything. You'll go back to classic Bond, where he's the womanizer and he looks like a classic, look like Sean Connery or something like that. You're going to get all these classic things. When you bring back those classic elements, people are going to pine for those. It's funny. They want to talk about nostalgia, so they keep making new stuff. Well, if you make something, and I'm not saying I advocate for this 100%, but if you make something that looks closer to the classic, you're going to make a lot of people happy, even if it's just on a basic, facile level where people are like, oh my God, or superficial level, excuse me. They're like, it looks just like I remember, and they go in and it hits all the points. You know, like Halloween. That made a bunch of money because it looked like Halloween and it was on those same level, or on that same level. It made the money. It is too late for classic Star Wars. Like Darth Vader says, it's too late for me. Sorry, Darth Vader. It is too late. So the BBC says they ran out of ideas for Doctor Who. See, I'm not... It sounds like I'm less angry about this Doctor Who thing than I am She-Ra Princess of Power, which is something I was never even interested in. But the thing is with me is I don't like taking old IPs and breathing new, biased life into the IPs. That's where my stance for all this begins and ends. Like, I know this is a stupid, weird example, but for example, Tom Cruise. They wanted to make a Green Lantern film with Tom Cruise, but they wanted to kill him off to do a Jon Stewart, Kyle Rayner Green Lantern film. And Tom Cruise said he'll do the movie as Hal Jordan, but refuses to die. Jon Stewart is a good Green Lantern. If you want to make him the Green Lantern in a movie, do it. Do not do it off the back of Hal Jordan. I don't think Kyle Rayner's needed, honestly. I don't really like that Green Lantern. But the point I'm trying to make is, if any at all, is that they always try to take the old established to put a new, less than version on, and then kill off the old and disrespect it, disregard it. You'll never hear me say that Green Lantern 2011 was a good movie, because it was shit. But I don't think Hal Jordan's a bad character. He was just poorly portrayed by Ryan Reynolds. I think Tom Cruise gets it. I think a lot of older actors get it. I'm not saying Tom Cruise is our moral center at all. This is just one example. But you don't need to sacrifice what came before that works just to appease a small minority that will be, active on social media. That is the wrongdoing of entertainment right now, is to worry about the social media crowd. You can vote with your wallets, you can make it known, and you can communicate on social media. But for the people that just say, hey, I'm starting a hashtag, listen to me and make your movie for me, that doesn't really work. Yeah, Jon Stewart was great on Justice League. That was growing up in the 90s, Green Lantern wasn't really a character I knew much about. I was a Marvel kid, and then I liked Batman and Superman. But then when the Justice League cartoon came out and I really got into Green Lantern, he was always black and he was Jon Stewart. And I never once thought to myself, I don't like him. I think that's the problem for a lot of these creators out there. They can't remove the character's identity from their skin color. I don't look at somebody like a Jon Stewart or The Rock or somebody. I don't look at The Rock and go, oh, he's the greatest Samoan half-black wrestler, blah, blah, blah. No, he's The Rock. He's transcended his race. He's just his person. His identity is his personality and what he represents, not his skin color. Now, sometimes people are proud of their heritage and they want to ingrain that in their identity, and more power to them. But for somebody like me who looks at a character, or The Rock is a character underneath it all, to me, they're not their skin color. They're just, they're who they are. Yeah, Trent, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you there too. Yeah, The Rock is The Rock. There we go. Uh, Shiro is He-Man's cousin. Yeah, because what wasn't it his sister? This isn't Tila. Who's Tila? I don't know He-Man. Ask Jeremy Peerboom. That guy's on our channel all the time. He's cool. He loves He-Man. You talk to him, he'll tell you everything you need to know. He can tell you who drew what frame and what issue or what episode of what cartoon. He's that good. Let's see. Todd Rector just joined. What's the topic? Well, Todd Rector, we talked about Bill Maher and Stan Lee. Currently, we're talking about Doctor Who and how it's possible that Jodie Whittaker is going to be in her final season coming up because the BBC wants more episodes, and the showrunner and her showrunner can't do it, and she will leave if the showrunner leaves. So we could avoid all this Doctor Who nonsense if they just force more episodes. Yeah, not only did I cover the Doctor Who finally, I'm going to look into the episodes. One of our listeners has been sending them to me. I'm going to watch them and find out what the hubbub's about. I can't promise you guys all this Doctor Who content like I can talk about Star Wars. Here's the thing. I don't talk about Star Wars because it's popular, because it gets clicks and views. I talk about it because I like it. At one point, I would say I love it. I know this shit like the back of my hand. I don't have to sit and tell you I'm a geek. I'm in the geek culture community because it's popular and I want views. No, I could turn on a camera and I could show you the shit I've had my whole life. It's always been a part of who I am. And when they change it and ruin it, that's when I get pissed. And that's when I start talking about the stuff the way I do. Now, with Doctor Who, admittedly, I've been watching since 2009. I did watch it when it first debuted in America on 4th of July, 2005 or 6. Whenever it debuted in America, I started watching it on Sci-Fi. The skin lady that they stretched her out, and the face of Bo, and all those episodes. I watched those when I first saw them, and I thought they were great. But I'm not as invested emotionally, so I will talk about it, and I will always talk about what you guys want. But I can't give you that level of depth and commitment because it's not who I am as a fan. I'm more passionate about Superman or stuff like that I don't even talk about on the channel more than I am Doctor Who. But I will gladly cover stuff you guys want. And if you give me the information about certain topics via either email or Twitter, all those things, I will gladly cover them. Like I said, this is the People's Podcast. Until The Rock starts one, then I guess I'll have to legally change it. But until then, we are the People's Podcast. Admiral Tiberius, thank you very much. Good morning, Jeff. Nothing like world-class bullshitters on my Friday. The NPC/woke culture have also ruined war movies. Fury was amazing, but it was a rare success. Now, that was the tank movie, right? Here's the thing. I love to watch war movies and prison movies, but they're the most depressing movies for me, and they're the most satisfying when they're over because I don't want to go to war and I don't want to be in prison. But to get into those stories, it's very like Shawshank Redemption or countless other war movies. You feel for those guys. You're in there in the trenches with them, and it's like, oh shit. And then you turn it off and you're like, oh, thank God I didn't have to do that. And then you think about the people that did have to do it, and it's a whole different level of appreciation. By the way, check out our military stream if you haven't had a chance. It was a lot of fun. But the current, politically correct or whatever culture you want to call them, NPC, woke people, all these things, they really have ruined entertainment for the good, normal person. And the only people that will benefit from this are the rights holders to the old back catalogs of content. Because have you noticed there's been a big upswing in old movies coming back out to theaters? Like, they've always done re-releases and stuff. But they put out Die Hard, every couple months, it seems like. Oh, you can catch Die Hard in theaters. And people are like, oh, man, it's Die Hard. I got to go see it. Or they'll have, Mask of the Phantasm for an anniversary or this or that. It's funny how, as technology moves forward, as all kinds of things move forward, we progress so far into the future. It's the old entertainment that we long for, not out of a sense of nostalgia always, but because of a sense of quality. Money and quality were the driving factors 10, 15, 20 years ago. Well, let's go back even 25 years ago. Up until, I'd say, up until around like post-Dark Knight, everything, for the most part, was either to make a lot of money or because they wanted to, be the best of something. Spider-Man 2 wanted to be the best Spider-Man movie. Dark Knight, best movie with superhero. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those things were driving factors. Batman the Animated Series strived to be the definitive version that people stake their pride in. Now it's about, I want to tell my story under a new lens. I don't care about your story, writer person. You're not that goddamn interesting. You're kind of whiny. All you want to do is bitch about your coffee and your fucking dog or something. That is not what belongs in these shows that are meant to inspire people, that transcend time and become these timeless things, because the culture is always changing. When you create something that removes itself from said time period of ideology or politics or anything like that, well, then you create something truly great. And I always jump back to Batman the Animated Series, but it is the best cartoon ever made. And that's not even nostalgia talking. I've been watching the Blu-ray thanks to our buddy Stephen Morgan out of the UK. And my God, it looks great. And that show was structured so incredibly well. I just don't know why they don't do more shows like that. What is the impetus? Because they don't make toy lines for all of these figures or these shows that are out today. And if they do, like, some of them are more expensive. You know, there's Rick and Morty toys, there's this and that. Why not do a show to the caliber of Batman the Animated Series? Why not do a show to the caliber of all of these things? It's not that hard. There are countless people out there that want to make good quality entertainment. The only positive thing I can say about all this is it causes people like me, like all of you out there, to either find entertainment that suits your fancy, or like me, to make it to suit people's fancy. Weird way of saying it, but that's how I chose to say it. That is the only positive I can say out of all these things. I have seen the toys that made us. I actually was trying to get on the show, but I got real busy with stealing Solo, and I didn't get to send in my thing. I wanted to be on the Power Ranger episode because I have a huge Power Ranger. The thing is, I don't have a huge Power Ranger collection, but I have really great stories on how I acquired the toys. And if you guys ever had moments in your life where it's like, you remember certain parts, but you don't remember others, like being a little kid. Like, oh, you can remember, your birthday party or this, or, falling down at school. But then you don't remember all the days that, whatever. I have one of those memories where I can remember just like a lot of shit in my life. And with the Power Ranger stuff, I remember distinctly you could show me a Power Ranger toy, I could tell you when and where I got it. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, you name a single thing, like, I don't know, White Ranger. Okay, 6th birthday, 1994. At my old house. I remember opening up the box. Boom. So the Toys That Made Us was a great show. I've watched almost the only episodes I don't watch by myself are the Hello Kitty and Barbie ones, because that's shit my mom likes. So I watched those with her, and she got all excited because my mom's name is Barbara, as we've said on the channel, and she was born the same year that the Barbie doll came out. So she grew up with those dolls, and that is her shit. She used to collect them. It's weird. A lot of the stuff I'm into, my mom was into, but it was really rare for a woman to get into it. Like, so she collected dolls and liked comics and shit like that. She watched Batman. Like, when Adam West died, she's like, oh, that was my Batman. Like, she is one of the few moms out there that goes, this is my version of something, or the Incredible Hulk or something like that. She liked those shows, and that's where I get a lot of my stuff from. People say, oh, I inherited this from my dad, or this, that, and the other. Like, my dad was a sports guy who liked movies and stuff. Like I said, he died when I was 6 weeks old, so I never got to know him. But it's weird how many traits I inherited from a person I never actually knew. But a lot of the stuff I'm into does come from my mom. Yes, I developed my own taste for a lot of things, but it is bizarre and funny how, generational things are passed down generationally. It's not always the traditional father to son role. Yes, Stoic Lion, I do have that book. You mean Batman Illustrated? It's right here on my shelf. That was a book that I was searching for really, really hard. And then it was like $90 on Amazon for a minute. And then I found it at the Half Price bookstore for $12. And I bought it. And it's one of the best. It's right next to my WWE Unscripted book and my Encyclopedia of Rock. I don't know why I own that Encyclopedia of Rock, but I do. Let's see. Sorry, Japan. Thank you. By the way, my mom can never be on this show because she works early in the day. So she's like, oh, maybe one day I'll join up on your show. Yeah, maybe one day she will. If I'm ever out and I'm doing some live stream and she's there, she'll say hi. But she works Monday through Friday, so she'll always miss Good Morning Pop Culture. When we hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll have my mom. I'll film her. We'll do 100,000 subscriber special with the guys, obviously, but I'll have my mom pop in and say, hey, everybody, because she's really excited about all this. She's like, I'm so proud of you, this, that, and the other. I'm like, thanks, Mom. It's nice to hear. It is nice to hear, though. My mom's cool. She's got nothing but faith in me. So, that's why sometimes when people are dicks on the internet and stuff, I really don't care. I just keep pushing forward because I got good, positive motivation behind me. Cesare Japan, thank you very much. The irony now is more mature stuff is uncensored on the Nintendo Switch than PlayStation. The latest Dead or Alive Extreme is better on Switch. I haven't played a Dead or Alive game, Cesare Japan, since Dead or Alive 3 on the Xbox 360, whichever the first one was. That was like super cheap back in 2007. I got, that was the last Dead or Alive. That was the only Dead or Alive game I played. But yeah, Dead or Alive was an okay fighting game. It was all about the booby physics, chicken wings, the booby tassels, all that stuff. I don't think a little TNA is bad. Both ways, for ladies or guys. If you're in whatever you're into, as long as nobody gets hurt, enjoy yourself. That's all I can say. So Dead or Alive, who gets hurt, who gets marginalized? They're pixels. Are we at a point where we're offended by dots on a computer screen? Yes, we are. Are we offended by drawings in a comic book? Yes, we are. Those are lines of ink that someone drew. You're offended by that now. We don't worry about all these other atrocities that happen out in the real world because, whatever. But fake fictional shit, people get all up in arms because you're fucking doing nothing with your life. Like these people that, the boobs jiggle in a game, I can't watch that. Well, you know what? I don't care if the boobs jiggle. Boobs jiggle in real life. It's all about realism. Yeah, the body types are crazy, but you know what? Nobody in real life is built like half of these comic book characters. And you know what? That's not really a problem. No guy goes, man, I can't watch Thor. He's got a six-pack and I don't. Well, as a guy like me, I just say, time to get to the gym. That's all I say. I don't get bothered by these things. It's these really low-T, ineffectual men that want to champion these causes. We should worry about the breast physics. Buddy, if you had a set, you'd be like the rest of us going, oh, yeah, cool, whatever. No one in real life is built like He-Man. No. But that doesn't mean people can't like him. I just don't get how you can be so insecure about a fictional character. I don't mean to preach, but they're a drawing. They don't exist. He-Man doesn't have the power in real life because there is no power. Look at Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren was in great shape, still in better shape than most of us listening to this show, and the guy talking right now. But the people that just can't handle the fictional characters, your lives are a mess. Don't watch it is all you got to do. Oh, the body types are unrealistic. So what? Every body type is unrealistic to some people. Somebody could bitch about that and somebody could look at you and say, your body type's unrealistic. How can somebody be so thin? I look at somebody like that, I'm like, man, eat something. There are guys bigger than He-Man. That's true, but that's very rare. Let's see. He-Man was based on Conan the Barbarian, She-Ra, Red Sonja, and Wonder Woman. And those are all better properties than things that are out today. I know about the Guy game. That game is actually outlawed. I Am Become Death Destroyer of Worlds for reasons. I've never seen The Sword and Sorcerer, but I will check it out. Let's see. I'm built like He-Man. I even have a page boy haircut, but I'm built like the toy squatting. Yeah, Arnold back in the day looked like He-Man. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the man. He is, just to get serious for a moment, Arnold Schwarzenegger is like the American dream epitomized. Come to America from a foreign country, you work hard. Hell, before he was a movie star, he was a millionaire because he had invested in properties, like real estate properties in California, and was Mr. Universe and all of these things. And then he started making movies, and then he became a mega star. So I think I can say this from firsthand experience. The harder you work at something, the better you'll get overall. So Arnold Schwarzenegger worked at his physique and this and that, but he always worked on his mind. You may think, Arnold Schwarzenegger's not that smart, but he kind of is. He's mastered, multiple languages. I haven't. I got A's in German in high school and college, but that's about it. I didn't stick with it. I couldn't speak German unless it's like, mein Frau hat ein Auto für mich or something, or mein Büro hat ein Auto für mich or something like that. My woman or my office has a car for me. Just some basic shit like that. But man, he did it. Yep, KSSSS, you got it right. Thank you, Kevin. I have a friend that says that too. Now, the Incredible Hulk is actually impossible because the proportions are distorted. Yes, the Incredible Hulk is definitely unrealistic. Look how tiny his head is. But Lou Ferrigno did a damn fine job back in the 70s and 80s. And Lou Ferrigno seems to be a pretty cool guy. I'm not trying to build up bodybuilders as these great bastions of perfection in our society, because they're not. They're just people with more time, and they chose to do what they chose to do. But I don't think that trying to be the best at anything is bad. I understand people trying to just get by. I'm not knocking those people. Believe me, we've all been there. We're all there at current times. But, all I say to people is if you really hate your situation, just figure out what you're good at and work harder at it and become best at it and, blow people away. It's very possible for you to change your life overnight. You just got to believe in yourself. Let's see. Admiral Tiberius, thank you very much again. When I see a super ripped or in shape movie character, it motivates me to be better and work harder. I take it as a challenge. Yeah, Admiral Tiberius, so do I. I know I use the Thor example because we talk about geek culture and stuff, but I usually look at The Rock and go, man, I got to do better. That's like the phrase in my mind. I got to do better. And then you get there and you do better. And, times are different. I just wish. The thing is, there are a lot of good messages and entertainment. See, the thing is, I talk about, keep your stupid messages out of entertainment. I don't mean that we need stupid, vapid entertainment, but some of the messages that get promoted in these movies as positive actually are one-sided, and they lean in a certain direction that doesn't benefit everybody. But, being like The Rock, I'm going to be a good person, work hard, and take good care of myself. I think that's a positive message for everybody. And maybe you have health reasons why you can't work out a certain way, but you could still eat better or do something like that. I mean, just like the shit from the 80s, like the public service announcements, some of those, like at the end of G.I. Joe or Captain Planet or Inspector Gadget, sometimes those things have more weight than we give them credit. It's like the basic things, like master the basics. But Admiral Tiberius, I'm like you, man. I don't think of from an insecure standpoint. But that's just me. That's all I can say, man. I'm glad there's somebody else out there like me that just goes, maybe I need to do better. Sometimes when I have that train of thought, I put this song on Push It to the Limit from Scarface, and I just go, and I feel achieved at the end of it. So, folks, we have over 440 people here. Can we get 440 thumbs up? It's going to be a good week if we can hit 76,000 subscribers. I'm really excited, and hopefully that's going to happen this week because I'm tired of looking at 75,000 and change. It's time to move up the scale. Total Recall and Running Man are great movies. I love that. Eddie Max Vandor, thank you very much. Creed comes out this week. Creed 2 comes out this week. That is all. I haven't seen Creed 1 all the way, but Creed 2 in concept looks interesting to me. I don't have time to watch it this weekend. If you're out there and you guys watch it and you want to let me know, please do. Join our Facebook page and hang out. But Eddie Max Vandor, it's funny that you're here because I was thinking about you over the weekend because I was out filming some stuff and I saw a Cassian Andor figure and I almost said Eddie Max Vandor figure, but I caught myself. So just to let you guys know, I know you come and watch the show and you're like, oh man, we love watching the show and hanging out. It's a lot of fun. You all impact me too, because sometimes if your names have a word that's similar or in something else, I'll think of your name because I read you guys' messages every day. So Eddie Max Vandor, there you go. You have seeped over into my personal life. Congratulations. So for those wondering about the title of this video, because new people have come in and out, Venom has passed Star Wars 1977 at the all-time box office. So Star Wars is what, 775, and Venom is at 780. So that has happened. That is incredible. So good morning to everyone that's here. We have all kinds of new people, and I like to always tell you guys, welcome to the channel. It's always a lot of fun to have you. It's my honor to do Good Morning Pop Culture every single day. So I do want to jump back on that point since people are talking about it. If Sony takes back Spider-Man from Marvel Studios, that's going to be weird because I was thinking about Stan Lee and Spider-Man again over the weekend. Because realistically, I was sad as hell. Saddened as, all could be about the Stan Lee death. So I did look at some Spider-Man books and think of some stuff. But I was at breakfast or lunch with my mom on Saturday, and I saw a kid in a Spider-Man sweatshirt, and I thought to myself, that character will always stand the test of time. Marvel characters are hot right now, but eventually Iron Man and Captain America and stuff will slowly fall out of favor. But there's something about Spider-Man. I don't know if it was the costume. Stanley had a really great point, and I don't think anybody covered this in his passing as well. He said, this is paraphrasing, and this is based off like a 15-year-old memory. But he said the reason Spider-Man resonates with people is because it's a full suit, and anyone can imagine themselves being Spider-Man. His words are, you can be black, you can be Asian, but you can be Spider-Man. And maybe that's the case. I never really thought of that as a kid. I just liked the character. I never tried to project myself onto these things. Again, with Batman, Batman's clearly a white guy. You see the bottom of his chin in all the movies or on all of his costumes. But that thing with Stan Lee really, really did hit me back then. And I'm still remembering it 15 years later. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the beauty of the character. Maybe that's why Iron Man works to a degree too, because you can imagine yourself in the suit. You can be whatever. But I think Spider-Man resonates with people more because he's an everyday Joe. He's got the superpowers, but he lives a life just like you. He's got bills, he's got a job, he's got girl problems, he's got ingrown toenails, he's got all these things. So that kind of stuff hit me over the weekend, and it was kind of cool that the character is going to live on for every generation. I mean, Stan Lee wasn't responsible for the suit; that was Steve Ditko all the way. But my God, I would love to have. Oh, another thing too, one of those, what is it, theme park something, one of those channels that does theme park archaeology stuff. They talk about old rides. They did something about Spider-Man, the Spider-Man ride in memory of Stanley. I was like, man, that ride looks so great. I was like, man, one day I would love to have one of something I create stand the test of time and be made into a theme park ride and all this shit. Like, I couldn't imagine the joy that Stan Lee felt or any of these creators felt. Yes, I know some people got screwed over financially. I'm not trying to gloss over that. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows at the House of Ideas, but these characters were big achievements. And let's be honest too, some of these artist guys that may have not made that much off the original comic books, they got paid their $50 a page. You realize some of them make up to 10 grand a day over a convention. Now, I'm not saying that you're working all these years in poverty just to get stuff at the end of your life, but some of these guys really do make bank. Some of the ones you wouldn't even imagine. Like, well, you would imagine this, but Neil Adams, when I worked for him, he made $24,000 over the course of a weekend at the Cincinnati Comic Expo. And he considered that a slow weekend for him. And that was just here in Cincinnati in 2015. A lot of these people can make some serious bank. So just remember that when you think of, the poor artist that suffered and Stan Lee lived high in the hog. Yes, at the time, Stan Lee did. But a lot of these guys go to conventions today, and the artists get their artwork back, and they can legally sell the originals and make a lot of money. I don't know how much he's made, but John Romita's artwork sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's a market for those guys too. Edward Hogue, thank you very much. Is it Hogue or Haga? Or Hoga? Sorry, I apologize. Jeff was driving, could not comment. Thanks for the Doctor Who coverage. Sad, but once great franchise is in its final stage. Check out Tom Baker. I will check out Tom Baker. Here's the thing. I would catch Doctor Who as a kid on Channel 48, PBS, here in Cincinnati. And I would see it, and it was this weird shit, and I'd turn it off. Because, if you're coming into the show in the middle of it, especially in the 90s when you're used to watching other stuff, it's kind of weird and hokey. But the older I get, the more I appreciate it. And I tried, was it William Hartnell was the first Doctor? I've seen a couple of those episodes. That old theme song is kind of spooky. That ooh. And I think a woman created that theme song. I could be wrong, but it was like one of the first songs to use like electronic sampling or something. It's interesting. You guys should look up the history of the Doctor Who theme. You'll learn something. And I think learning's fun. And I know that sounds really lame as an adult. Learning's fun, but really, if you learn some new shit about stuff you love, it just adds to the repertoire. And then you can have a show like this. Chapter Master Dante, welcome back to the channel. Jeff, unless you count for inflation, box office numbers always favor new movies. Oh, I know that. I was actually, when we were doing the box office numbers, I was trying to find the inflation button. But I couldn't because it just says, let's see. Okay, all-time domestic. Well, here, let's go back. Let's look at all-time worldwide adjusted for inflation since you brought that point, because I wanted to make that point. Let's see. All-time domestic. This is related charts. All-time worldwide openings. Let's see. No. I was just trying, because here's the domestic is adjusted for inflation. I guess if we do adjusted for inflation for domestic, which you can do for the United States dollar, I guess when you try to do worldwide adjusted and you get all these other, dollar amounts, number one's Gone with the Wind. Number two is Star Wars. There's not another Star Wars film until number 13, 11, which is The Force Awakens, and then Empire Strikes Back. So if we're going for inflation adjustment, Gone with the Wind, Star Wars, Sound of Music, E.T., Titanic, 10 Commandments, Jaws, Dr. Zhivago, The Exorcist, Snow White, and the Seven Dwarfs. Those are the top 10 films of all time, domestically adjusted for inflation. So Star Wars pulled in $1.6 billion adjusted for inflation in the United States alone. Hell, Raiders of the Lost Ark made the top 21. Oh, I love that movie. Return of the Jedi. The original Star Wars trilogy is all top 20. Hell, even the prequel episode 1 made it. So I get it. But I was just going by, what the numbers are. Those are real. But I can't find a worldwide adjusted for inflation. But thank you, Chapter Master Dante. You're right. You are 100% right on that. Let's see. Somebody said they love Neil Adams. Well, I've worked for Neil Adams. It was kind of fun. It was an experience. That was back when I really thought, it's weird. I've told you guys this, but man, there was a point in time where I'm like, man, I'm going to do this comic book and shit's going to be different. And then nothing happened. And then this show happened and shit's great. And now it's like, I'm going to do a comic book and shit's changing. And there are thousands of people waiting for this comic. And I got multiple pages done over the weekend. It felt so good. I'm doing chunks of 10 to send to the colorist and then the letterer. I'm going to make sure I get it done before the year's up. And then once the new year hits, I'll be done with the line art. And then we can focus on getting it colored and then printed and shipped out to you guys. And our first comic book will be completed. And it's already a success. So I know you already bought it, but thank you again. I mean, that's all I can say is thank you. It's a dream come true. And it's really, really exciting. So Jeff got my name right in the first attempt. Long O silently Hogue. Okay. The only reason I said that is because I had a German teacher who spelled his name differently, but I assumed it was like the same way. So thank my German teacher, Herr Hogue. Dangerous 2099, you get it. The comic book takes forever. Thankfully, I'm a good writer, so that's the easy part. And the artwork, I like to draw, so it's fun. And then once I'm done with the line work, oh, thank God. That I used to hate thinking, oh my God, now I got to color it or tone it or do this or do that. And that's where it would take so much extra time. You send it off to somebody that's better at something than you are and you can afford to pay them. That's the beauty of America. You can just do your part, send out the rest, and then it comes back done, and then you ship it out to the world. That's how I'll always do that. Plus, I have friends that want to do comics, and they're the guys that I'll get to do the lettering or this or that because it's, they're good at it and it saves me time, gives them a credit for their name, gives them money, and everything works out positively. Yeah, Barbarella Alpha, I have seen Caveman starring Ringo Starr. Not good. I think Barbara Bach was also in that movie as well. Ooh, this is a good comment. This isn't even directed at me, but I'm going to say it. Neil Adams' work is inspiring. Look at his art and Al Williamson's and Wally Wood's before drawing. I look at his art and Al Williamson's and Wally Wood's before drawing. I, too, like all three of those artists. I consider Al Williamson the greatest Star Wars artist of all time. We've discussed his work here on the channel. He did the artwork for The Empire Strikes Back, as well as Return of the Jedi Marvel comics. Excuse me, I'm a little congested here. And he also did the Star Wars daily newspaper strips with Archie Goodwin, who's the writer. And that, to me, he always got the likenesses right. He got the suits right. Everything was done right. Al Williamson was the fucking man. Neil Adams, again, great. Wally Wood, awesome. Well, I think Wally Wood killed himself, which is sad. But he did not see. I look at Wally Wood and I look at a lot of these comic book creators, and they don't have very good lives, or they choose to be weird or different. Like Steve Ditko chose to be this objectivist outlaw. And you know what? This is America. You can do what you want to do. So he chose that. But I don't like that life of solitude, only working for your craft type of thing. I'm a people person. If I didn't have this outlet on top of doing the comic, I'd be in a much different place. But even though I don't see or hear any of you, I know you're there. And I need that. And so I don't like to think of Wally Wood's outcome, but his work was fantastic. Like his work at Mad Magazine was good. I almost picked up a book about that this week. But his black and white sci-fi work, it was so ahead of its time. He was a better artist than anybody working today. People took pride in their craft, and I understand comics are a low-paying gig, so you got to pump out the work. But I picked up, and you'll see this in our new video coming up later, this Iron Fist comic, and I thought, how did this get drawn professionally? You look at Wally Wood's work, and you're like, how is this not in a museum somewhere? The dude was just so ahead of its time, or his time, and nothing but respect for him. May he rest in peace. Neil Adams, great artist, weird dude. Ask him sometime about how Earth used to be smaller. Well, I don't know him personally anymore. I've worked for him in a convention. I tried to ask him some interesting... The thing is, he wanted to be real philosophical with me. I'm like, Neil, I said to him straight, and I said, look, I've listened to every podcast and all these interviews you've done. I respect the hell out of you. You're a great teacher, like the greatest teacher I never had. I said, I just got some basic, straight-up questions. I mean, I'll learn. I told him straight up, too, like, you know, this, that, and the other. And I got a couple straight answers out of him from telling him what I already knew about him. And him and his wife, they pay incredibly well. They pay like $15 an hour to work at a convention. And it was worth it. It was worth the money. It was back at the time when I needed the cash, and it really helped. Matthew Gaudet, excuse me if I butchered that. Al Williamson is my favorite Star Wars artist. Mine too. Applaud you. Wally Wood lost his sight. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But he did draw great looking women. Dr. Coffinails, again, not only are you kicking ass earlier in the show, helping out our friend Lauren, great comments today. I do like the Wally Wood women. I have Wally Wood has a thing called like 22 panels to help you create a comic book, and I have that multiple places. It's a very great tool for anyone who wants to create comic books. Check it out. It really helps break up the monotony of talking, because I know the first, I'd say, let's see, pages 2 through 7 of Stealing Solo are the build up for the story of me. See, the thing is, I'm in the first 7 pages and then I'm gone for a while. Our good buddy, the pilot Captain Solo, appears on page 9, and that's when it starts to pick up. But the beginning is the setup of the story, and you have to understand why I'm upset. So I had to draw me, talking, and the other guys talking to me, and I had to make it interesting. And so you had to, camera here, camera there, to try to change it up. And I did it, but I used Wally Wood's tools to help me get there. It's funny, the old way, and many times the old ways are the best ways. If somebody were to say, hey, Jeff, who do you think would be a good inspiration to teach me how to draw? I'd say, get yourself some books, but don't really, don't try to draw the anime manga way. Not let me rephrase that. These new Americanized cartoons, they're made simple because they are, meant to be reproduced quickly. I'm not saying you gotta spend 20 hours on a page, but some of these people just have a better grasp of storytelling. It's all about storytelling. It's not even necessarily artwork. It's storytelling. If you can tell a story without the words, you've done your job. So that is my piece of advice. I think they did pick some crappy some PlayStation games for PlayStation Classic. One of my personal favorites did make the list, Siphon Filter. I'm trying to justify to buy it. I don't really want to spend $100, but my mom and I would play Ballerina Toshiden because we used to play that back on the original PlayStation. We had a lot of fun. She still remembers it. Rattlesnakes, Aurora Revolution. She'll just start shouting out the lines from the game. She wasn't very good at it, but it was a lot of fun, and we might play that over Christmas. If I find a copy when I'm out on, not Black Friday, but when I'm out in December, I'm going to get that as a house gift for us to share, because we will both sit down in here and play Ballerina Toshiden, and she's like, I'll kick your ass. I'm like, no, Mom, you're not. Superfan Adam Shawhan, that would be a good idea. That would be a very good idea for the comic. I can't tell you how the book ends, but I like your idea very much so. Did we talk about the She-Ra reboot? Ben, yes, we did. Ben, if you would like, check out Friday's episode of Good Morning Pop Culture at the 59-minute mark. I go into a really, really strong, long rant about She-Ra, the Princesses of Power. I'll say this part, though, for you before you go check it out. I'm passionate about entertainment and the direction it takes. I don't care about She-Ra and He-Man as much as other people do, but I care about what it represents by them changing it. And it's not about, here's the thing, I don't have a problem. Entertainment for girls, fine, let them enjoy it. I'm not here to tell children and girls what to enjoy. But when you take a show that was created for entertainment purposes and you use it to tell your personal story and you kind of bastardize it, that's when I get kind of upset. So you should check it out. Jeff plays some Star Wars games on N64, PS1, or something. I have Rogue Squadron and 2 and Episode 1 Racer, and I have the Super Star Wars Trilogy for Super Nintendo. So I have a lot of Star Wars games. Be better off buying a PS1. It'd be cheaper. Yeah, the only thing is it would hook up via HDMI for convenience factor, because I don't have a tube TV anymore. That's why I got a Super NT. That nice before the channel took off, I saved some money, and I had been working really hard. I was like, I'm gonna buy myself something. So I bought this thing called a Super NT. It was like $200. It was like January when I bought it. And I love it, but I've never opened it up. I just love the concept of like a brand new Super Nintendo in HD. But maybe around Christmas, I'll finally dust it off. I'll hook it up over here, and I'll see how the thing is. That'd be amazing. I've never played Star Wars Episode 1. I have played it back in the day. Star Wars Episode 1 for PS1. That was a game so dated. Did I see Mark Hamill in a movie called Corvette Summer, but no one seems to remember that? I've never seen it. Full transparency, I don't consider myself a Mark Hamill fan. I'm a Harrison Ford fan. He's my favorite actor. Mark Hamill, I like Luke Skywalker. I like the Joker. And I like him as a person. But he's not a person that I will go out of my way to watch everything he's in. I liked him in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I saw The Guyver years ago. I watched it because, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. I hated it as a kid. Maybe I like it as an adult. He's in this thing called Body Bags, where he plays a baseball pitcher who goes blind and gets an eye transplant. And he starts seeing like murders, and then he cuts his own eyes out. It's fucking cool. But I wouldn't consider myself a Mark Hamill fan, a Carrie Fisher fan. I respect them as people and liked them as people and their roles in Star Wars. But as a kid, I would watch anything with Harrison Ford. I would ask my mom, can I stay up and watch Letterman? Harrison Ford's on. Sometimes she would say yes. Okay, she would always say yes for Harrison Ford or The Rock. But those were he was just an actor that resonated with me as a kid. I don't know what it was. You would watch him and you're like, man, Harrison Ford's so cool. I want to be like him, saving the day, fighting bad guys, all that stuff. Mark Hamill, I just saw as Luke Skywalker and then nothing else. All right, Jez Oldfield likes Body Bags. Good. I did overdo it on Halloween stuff this year, but I still love horror anthologies. Harrison Ford was great in Blade Runner, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I like Blade Runner enough as an adult. I didn't like it growing up, so I don't have the love for it like some people. But man, Indiana Jones. I can't get enough of that. The first three are the best trilogy ever made. I've seen Force 10 from Navarone. That had Robert Shaw and Barbara Bach as well from James Bond and Jaws, respectively. Or Jaws and James Bond, respectively. At least Mark Hamill, or Hollywood hasn't killed Mark Hamill in Wing Commander. Very true. Very, very true indeed. I'm looking over at my Indiana Jones portion of the shelf, and I'm thinking to myself, can we have another hero that's that iconic? Can people remove their identities enough from these things to try and make a hero? Because I feel like a lot of times these people that want to imprint themselves on these characters imprint the bad versions, the worst versions of themselves. It would be nice if these people would, if you're going to imprint yourself, put an idealized version of the best that you can be into a character, because these characters are meant to be just that, characters. They're not that realistic. I mean, Indiana Jones gets shot in the arm, thrown off of a truck, climbs around the thing, hangs on by his whip, climbs back up, fights the day. Then he gets hurt, then he lays in the boat, then he hangs on a submarine. All these things he does, they're not realistic. Like John McClane, he couldn't do that in real life. But because it's a movie, it's awesome. And sometimes the idealized version of oneself is what these characters need. Indiana Jones has a weakness. He's afraid of snakes. Okay, it's a small insecurity, but it works. Or, McClane, he's a hothead, and he has that moment with Holly where he speaks, he's like, oh, you're okay signing my name on those checks. And then, he's like, damn it, I messed up. And then he doesn't get a moment to apologize, and then all the shit goes down, and it's like, oh, he's got that guilt. And then he goes down and fights everybody at the end, and then he saves the day type of thing. It's entertainment. It's fantasy. It's fun. Why be dour? Why bring people down? We always talk about how the 80s had the best entertainment, but because it was such a weird time politically, it was the end of the Cold War. Who knew what was going to happen? We're getting towards, I'm not saying another Cold War or anything like that, but it is a very odd time politically. Hopefully we get similar entertainment that brings us out of a dark age. And I'm not using that as a slight against this current administration or people that disagree, but I'm just saying overall, everything's a political minefield. It's a big, messy, gross time. I wish there would be something that could see. The thing is, Star Wars was the thing to bring people out of the Vietnam slump. You had your blockbusters that were dark and depressing. You had your what's that movie? The French Connection. You had Jaws. You had these things. Even Jaws, which was a blockbuster, the first blockbuster, wasn't this big fantasy epic. Star Wars helped people forget about that part of their lives and get into the next phase. Then people trying to be like Star Wars. We looked forward to the stars. It was this really powerful movie. Then the 1980s decade was built around that. Even something like A Weird Science was built to it's a dumb sex comedy, but it's about, it's a coming of age story. It builds you up. It doesn't make you feel guilty about being whatever. It moves up to the next era or the next phase of humanity type of thing. Like, I'm here. I want to be at level 10 now. So, these movies are all about that. Taking these average everyday characters, they, their lives are shit, but they get the thing they want. They achieve the thing they want. And that's why those movies get remade and rebooted and constantly get sequels, because they resonate with people. Now people are so full of themselves that they will not allow these characters to be happy and inspire an audience. That's why Avengers worked, the first one, because it was, I don't really remember the entire political climate of 2012. I knew there was an election that year. It was kind of like a come and gone election, forgotten thing. But when you came out of the theater, you felt like you were elevated. You're on cloud nine. You were moved. Boom. Yes, this was it. This is what we waited for. We all achieved something. That's kind of what we need to. I always talk about that movie that hits left and right and center, and everybody just comes together. Get everybody together. Let everyone leave happy. This isn't, Rian Johnson is not Irvin Kershner or George Lucas. He doesn't get to, Empire Strikes Back is, for some, arguably the best Star Wars movie. For me, it's a 10 out of 10, just like the first one, but I prefer the first one. But, your sequels don't have to have these dark, depressing endings in the second chapter just to be, successful. Look at Temple of Doom. People say, well, Temple of Doom is the darkest Indiana Jones. To some degree, but I also feel it's the lightest of the three. It's very fun, not disposable to a degree. Well, it is disposable to a degree, but it's very fun, light entertainment. The third one is definitely the heaviest in terms of, religion, father-son relationships, all this stuff. And it's a great film, another 10 out of 10 trilogy. But even Temple of Doom has a happy ending. He saves the kid, saves the day. That, to me, is the most 80s of the Indiana Jones flicks. The first one, I love Raiders. I think it has a stupid ending. I know it's like, it works, and it's like Top Men, and it's, oh my God, what else is in this warehouse and stuff? I get it. It works. I like it, but it's my least favorite of the three endings. Temple of Doom ending is just it's like, oh, he gets the girl, he kisses her, short round, they spray the water, they laugh, everyone cheers. Okay, fine. You all go home happy. And Last Crusade, he literally rides off into the sunset, and you think about, man, what's next for Indiana Jones? Hopefully nothing. But today's movies, just every piece of entertainment today goes against the grain. With Stealing So, like, I don't have to sell you the book anymore. It's done. It's complete. Like the sales process is complete. But you'll leave the book, when you put the book down, you'll laugh. There's a big final hurrah, a big laugh, and you'll go, man, I would love to know what happens next type of thing. It's just a big ha-ha, fun, happy moment. It's like the old Spider-Man flicks. He saves the day, then there's the final swing. Where's he going? I don't know, but there's more adventure on the horizon, and I can't wait. And you think about what comes next. Then you get to number 3, there's no final swing. It ends on no. Everyone out there should hope that I get to make more entertainment, like on a bigger scale, because I'm all about making people happy and having fun. I'm not one of those people that needs to be a deep, introspective artist that needs to think about the human condition. You can have really great movies with powerful moments and impactful things, but they can also leave you happy and cheering. Star Wars has a lot of depth to it, the first one especially. But at the end of the day, they all win, and it's a happy send-off. That's the kind of stuff that always resonated with me and millions and millions and billions of people throughout time. And the self-aware douchebags just aren't it. Let's see. Billy Ritchie, thank you very much. Everything in Raiders could have worked without Indy. You know that, right? You mean like the Big Bang Theory says that? I've heard that argument before, but there's another argument that proves that wrong or something. See, I don't ever get into the fan theory stuff. The movie is what it is, and it's one of the greatest action adventure films of all time. But maybe Billy, remind me, because we're gonna do commentaries for those soon. Maybe not. Well, we'll try to get them out this year. If you guys want that, press 1. I can make that happen. But we'll do that, and we'll talk about that at greater length. In 1989, Harrison Ford was done with Indiana Jones, and everyone said he hated Indiana Jones. It was reported in media, just like they do now with him towards Han Solo. Yeah, but KSSSS, he hated. Look at dude. Every time he hates Star Wars, he always makes fun of it. He'll always go back for more Indiana Jones, but he had to kill off Han Solo. I always looked at it like this: Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford was the star. It was his franchise, his property. He was just one of 3 leads in Star Wars, and he always seemed like a very hands-on, outdoorsy kind of guy. He got to do more with Indiana Jones. In Star Wars, he sat on sets and did, I'm flying the hyperdrive, the Millennium Falcon's damaged. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Chewie, I'm not a committee, all that crap. Love those movies. But I just have always taken into account that he just never wanted, and he wanted to die back in the day. We got to give George Lucas credit because of some of his ideas, he kept Star Wars alive for more than 20 years without 16 years without a movie. And then realistically, he could have kept Star Wars going forever after the prequels if he would have just kept it as his own thing. Video games could have made billions of dollars, comic books, toys, all these things. But I still firmly believe Harrison Ford hated Indiana Jones or Star Wars and Han Solo. And I'm not saying he owes every fan, all this shit. Like Mark Hamill, if you met Mark Hamill like walking down the street and he said something along the lines of, "You must go to the Dagobah system," and he'll say something like Yoda and just like laugh and walk away, is a fun thing. Harrison Ford would just keep walking and not look at you. It's the type of person he is. I always like the celebrities. I don't think these celebrities owe us everything, but it is nice when they're just like, yeah. Like Mark Hamill's a prime example. Or maybe if you met a Kevin Smith and you said some line from a movie, he may react or something like that. They just feel like tangible people. Yep, I know how much you got paid for Indiana Jones compared to Star Wars. I get that. And I don't think a lot of these people got the royalty checks they deserved. As a kid, I liked Temple of Doom. As an adult, I still like Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom is my favorite Indiana Jones flick. I'm going to say this. I don't care what people say. Temple of Doom is a very strong movie. Oh, it's this, it's that, it's racist. It ain't racist. It isn't anything. Oh, Willie Scott's so annoying. Marion cries and screams the same way as Willie. It's a double standard. Are you bitching about Kate Capshaw because she married Steven Spielberg because she has blonde hair or something stupid? Because Marion and Willie Scott are equally annoying and equally inept and equally capable. It's like, well, Marion was this pick-ass chick. Was she really, though? Because she was about to die until Indiana Jones saved her. Well, she hit somebody over the head with a flaming stick in the bar. Okay, cool. You know what? If it wasn't for Willie Scott, who punched out that thuggy guard who fell onto the track, and then the minecart flipped over. Again, they each achieve about the same amount in terms of the story. Marion doesn't do that much. She's going to escape. Well, no, then she gets drunk with Belloc and all this shit. Nothing really happens with her. She gets so much praise because Spielberg and these other people build up Raiders of the Lost Ark as this instant classic, which it is. But Marion is just a fine character, much like Willie Scott. Now, Dr. Elsa Schneider is the most interesting woman in all of the Indiana Jones films because she's a Nazi, she's a double agent, she's a spy, she slept with Indy, she slept with his dad, she's really in it for the peace, for the Holy Grail, because she's really a scientist. All these things, her character has way more depth, but doesn't get the same praise because everybody praises Marion for being this tough chick when she's really not that tough, or they shit on Willie Scott because she screams a lot. Well, Marion, and she keeps screaming for him in the marketplace. I mean, come on, let's get that out of the way. Let's be honest with ourselves, folks. It's funny. You can call me a Marionist all you want, but who owns a Marion Ravenwood action figure? This guy. Who owns Willie Scott? This guy. Who owns Elsa Schneider? Not this guy, because that shit was hard to find. It is the only classic Indiana Jones figure I could never find. And it still bothers me 10 years later. I'm looking for one, but I can never find one. When I got to like old toy stores or shows, I'm always looking for Dr. Elsa Schneider. I found literally everybody else. The Grail Knight, young Indiana Jones with the tie, the Colonel guy with the white suit, the dad, Dr. Jones. I bought 2 copies of Senior. Never found Dr. Elsa Schneider. It pisses me off. Yes, Trent, we gotta stream those movies. They're gonna be a lot of fun. Temple of Doom was the first one I saw. We had it on. It's funny. I always talk about inheriting stuff from my dad. I got like a Nintendo and a couple other things, but one of the videotapes that he had was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I used to watch that shit all the time. How many action figures do you have? Show us in a stream one day. I've done a stream with my action figures before. Some of them, they don't get a lot of views, so that's why I don't really do too much. I talk about my collection, but I don't show it. And another thing too, a lot of my collection it's all here in this house, but it's in different places. So like I got some newer stuff that's still in the box, but all the Indiana Jones figures have been opened up, so they're in like a little container. Maybe one day when we do an Indiana Jones live stream, I'll pull out the dusty box of action figures and I'll show you my Indiana Jones collection. It's very small, but then again, Indiana Jones merchandise wasn't readily available when I was growing up. You had the PC games, you had the books, and there were no toys except the Micro Machines set and the things you can get at Disney World. And when I went to Disney World, they weren't out yet, so that was how it is. Yes, Gamepad, it is true that Venom beat Star Wars at the box office. It has grossed more worldwide, unadjusted for inflation, than the original 1977 Star Wars. Elsa talks in her sleep. Let's see. Raiders was one of the best scores the LSO ever did. Sad that they did none of the other films after Temple of Doom. Matthew, I've been listening to the Indiana Jones collection. It's on Google Play Music. This is not an advertisement, so do what you want. But if you're looking for some really good movie scores, Google Play has them. So it's funny. I love Back to the Future. I had never listened to the score by itself. And I finally have for the first time. That's another very powerful score. Alan Silvestri has really had a good career. I can't say he never got his props because he did that. He did Predator. He's done the Avengers. He's done a lot. But he's up there when you say John Williams is the main event. Danny Elfman, you could shit on him, but he's done some prolific stuff. I would put Alan Silvestri above a Hans Zimmer. Maybe Jerry Goldsmith above him. Look at these guys. It's really debatable. Music is very subjective, what you like more. But I think we can all agree that John Williams is the greatest of all time. Even if you just say Indiana Jones music, well, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Yes, Cesare Japan. Elsa from Frozen is a Nazi. Harrison Ford was the closest thing to a successor to Clint Eastwood as the #1 male movie hero for a while. Gojira, it's funny when people say about the greatest action stars of the 80s, I always throw Harrison Ford in there because people are like, well, not really, but what else is Indiana Jones and Han Solo? They're action stars. Maybe he's not Rambo or Stallone with a six-pack, but, Indiana Jones, it's funny. When you look at Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones had to do, like, the shirt-ripped scene or stuff, like, he got buff. There was a time where male action stars always had to have a certain look. You were this fit man. Like, Indiana Jones is in the best shape in Temple of Doom. Cool. You would think, in a movie like this, you would want to be in shape. But I always put Harrison Ford in it / Indiana Jones as one of the greatest action stars of the 80s because you had that trilogy and you had 2 Star Wars flicks and you had other movies he was in, but I wouldn't consider Witness or what is that? Not Indecent Proposal, Innocent or Presumed Innocence or something like that. He had a couple of movies in the 80s that weren't that great or memorable, but he did have the big ones, and the big ones outweigh Blade Runner, action star. Just putting it out there. Let's see. You don't accept John Williams as the best of all time for John Barry, Ennio Morricone. I like John Barry. I'm a Bond fan, Bond fanatic, if you will, and I love the old Bond scores. But I'm going based on, at least for me, the James Bond theme's great. Technically, it's credited to Monty Norman, so if we have to go with the technical aspect, John Barry doesn't get the James Bond theme. But he did craft a lot of great scores. I'm sure he did. I know he did other stuff outside of Bond, but that's my wheelhouse. And yeah, Morricone did a bunch too. But I mean, you'd be lying to yourself if you would say, well, the Star Wars theme, the Indiana Jones theme, the Jaws theme, E.T., Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, Home Alone. If you don't say that, if you can hum all of those themes right now off the top of your head, if you're going to tell me that those aren't the most memorable movie scores of all time, well, you may have preference for more. Like, I like the Beverly Hills Cop score is my personal favorite. Is it better than Star Wars? No, it is not. I love it. Then again, I just really love Axel F. But, oh, by the way, I picked up a new record. They released a new vinyl of Beverly Hills Cop with just the music score and no other songs. I had it to my collection. Folks, if you ever want to become a favorite of mine, mail me something from Beverly Hills Cop that I don't own, and I will mail you a hug or a high five. Oh, yeah, Superman. Thank you, Superfan Adam Shawhan. I forgot about Superman. That's the best superhero theme. You know, you put that on, you'll stand up a little straighter. Your chest will widen a little bit. You'll just believe in anything. Just putting that out there, man. Superman is the shit. And it's cool, too, because it's always linked to Christopher Reeve. And there's, like, those movies aren't the greatest, but there's something about that theme and him and that costume, and it's distilled perfection for Superman. Like, Hollywood, man, was firing on all cylinders for a period of time. 77 to 90, maybe. We'll just say 90. Because then stuff does decline in the 90s. I hate to say it. I used to think 90s versions of stuff were good. Only do I think, like, James Bond survived the 90s positively. Sire J. Longstroke, thank you very much. I wonder what George Lucas has been doing these days. It seems like he just disappeared after he sold Lucasfilm in 2012. Well, you got to think. He worked pretty much nonstop on stuff for almost 40 years. So, I mean, your average person probably works, what, a 40-year career and then retires? Maybe he's retiring. I mean, George Lucas got married. I'm going to say this, and I don't care if it really offends you, but I'm surprised George Lucas married a black woman. I'm not saying that he's a racist guy. I just never pegged it as that. You know, I'm the product of an interracial relationship, so I don't have a problem with it at all. But I was like, oh, okay, George Lucas, you're much different than I thought. Because I always thought of George Lucas as kind of just like one way, but he may be somewhere else. So cool for him. Those things don't matter to him. But I was genuinely surprised when I saw that. So, and I think they had a kid. So George Lucas is probably just raising his kid and, living his life, raising his child. He's living the greatest life anybody could possibly have. You created the biggest movie franchise ever, and then you sold it off mistakenly. But now you got billions of dollars, which he donated a bunch of that money too, but he had billions himself. And you're living your life. If you would have gave me, okay, this channel's great. Let's say it starts making me billions and billions of dollars. I wouldn't work forever. I would work till probably I ran out of ideas. Knowing me, that would take a while. So maybe I would work till I'm 60 or so. And then it's like, well, I worked from 30 to 60 on this channel in some capacity from either YouTube or wherever we're at, this brand. And now I'm going to retire and enjoy my life. So I'm going to guess that's where George Lucas is. But good for him. Let's see. Jeff, Beverly Hills Cop, Star Wars, non-Disney crap, or wrestling. Choose only one. Well, that's hard. Because, see, if it's current wrestling, goodbye. Survivor Series was okay, but it wasn't that great. The first Star Wars movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's hard to let go, but so is Beverly Hills Cop. The thing is, too, I only collect Beverly Hills Cop stuff because it's so few and far between, and I can get everything for a reasonable price. Like, I bought a movie program from 1984 for about $7. You know how much a Star Wars movie program goes for? A lot more. Star Wars shit just has a higher sticker value. So I like to collect Beverly Hills Cop stuff because it's really cheap. It's like, oh, I got a Laserdisc for $1 and it's in mint condition. Or I picked up a brand new VHS still in the wrapping for $1, or a Betamax tape for $0.25. Like little things like that. It really didn't start as a collection that I set out to get. It was, oh, I'm at a vintage store. They got Beverly Hills Cop, the soundtrack, for $0.25, and they got the Betamax tape for 50 cents, parts 1 and 2. I'm going to buy that for $1.25. I got some Beverly Hills Cop stuff. And then it just kind of built and built and built, and now it's an obsession. So Alpha Mar, that is the reason why I can't give you a straight answer. I guess I would pick Star Wars because there's so much more to it. And I go a lot of times for emotion, and I don't think I was ever happier. Well, Power Rangers era made me happy, but as a child, being a Star Wars fan and being able to watch the movies, play the games, read the books, have the computer games, play with the toys, It was just everywhere. It was all encompassing. And maybe for kids in the 70s, it was a bigger deal because it was the first merchandise or the first movie that you could do all that stuff with to that degree. Yeah, you had Planet of the Apes and you had James Bond before that, but nothing was like Star Wars. Nothing still is like Star Wars. And that's why we mourn its death. That's why we have the High Council. That's why we have this channel and these videos the way we do, because it is the most significant franchise, the most significant property ever. And everyone that at least listens to this show has some sort of connection to it. And that is why we'll fight for it forever. Harrison Ford is Clint Eastwood with style. Huh. I always thought Clint Eastwood had style. The older I get, the more I enjoy Clint Eastwood's movies. It's not that I ever thought they were bad as a child. I just didn't really watch them. But now I watch them and I go, holy shit, Dirty Harry kicks ass. Like, we watched the Deadpool about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was like one of those movies I put on because I was going to watch it for 5 minutes. And then I sat there with my mom and we're like, this is cool. I can't wait to see what happens next. And I loved the whole movie. Let's see. Michael Rodriguez, thank you very much. George Lucas is working with JJ on episode 9 and with Favreau and Filoni on The Mandalorian. Wonder if we'll ever see him at another Star Wars celebration. Oh my God, I would love to meet George Lucas at Star Wars Celebration Chicago. The thing with me is, to meet George Lucas, I think Jeremy would geek out the hardest. I would be very excited to meet George Lucas, but I wouldn't go, oh my God, sir, it's such an honor. I'd be like, George, it's an honor to meet you. I too am an artist and I find your work really inspirational, and can I get a picture with you or something? And here's the thing that I always like to do with famous people, the few that I've always met. I ask them for a piece of advice. And I know this sounds weird, but they made it for some reason they're at the level they are. So, for example, you meet George Lucas. You say, George, as a writer, what do you think the most important thing that I could do to have my stories reach the same audience as yours did? You get it? Something small like that you can then put into your brain and work with that, because only George Lucas knows what he did with Star Wars to make it work the way it did. And then you meet somebody else and you ask them that same question, and then you can kind of distill the success, and then you take your own ideas and you put it with that. And that is my secret to a lot of stuff. It's like you take these people that really made it. Like if I met The Rock, I say, Rock, what is the number one way to become as dedicated as you are? Like, what in your brain keeps you rolling at all times? And then he'll tell you a specific thing. You find something similar in your brain, and then you think about that and you move forward. It's just, that's how I feel about a lot of famous people and what I would say. I remember the Dirty Harry game that was about to come out. There was Unseen 64 had a whole video on it, and they have images and videos of what exists. So check that out if you haven't. Let's see. Have you seen the first 3 Dirty Harry? I've seen Dirty Harry. I've never seen Magnum Force. I want to buy them. Put it like this. I want to buy them all on Blu-ray. That's how much I liked them. I would like to get them all on Blu-ray. If they're on Black Friday for $3, I got Dirty Harry. That's all I can say to you guys. Could you imagine Axel Foley in California today? You know Grand Moff Tarkin. I don't really write fan fiction, but I have come up with Beverly Hills Cop 4. And part of that, if you guys go back, you can listen to the old episode. It's, I don't know, type in World Class Bullshit. It's probably in episodes 30 or 40 range. Ask Superfan Adam Shawhan or our buddy Seth Scott. They know the episode numbers off the top of their head. There's an episode where I wrote Beverly Hills Cop 4, and I gave you like a 30-minute excerpt. It's a long episode, but if you find my part, I think you'll enjoy it. I'd love to meet Aerosmith or Kiss, hell, even AC/DC. I'd love to learn some of the stuff to apply to my technique. Gamepad 31, I would love to do that. I'd love to do that too. I'm not even a musician. I would just, if I ever met Aerosmith, I'd be like, my uncle's your biggest fan. Could you sign this for my Uncle T-Bird? And people would go like, oh my God, of course. So certain celebrities like that to me are ones that my mom likes Elton John. They're like, yeah, he signed this for my mom. Elton John's fine. I respect him, but he's not a celebrity I'd get excited to meet or say. You know what I'm saying? So where were we at too? Chapter Master Dante, thank you very much. Jeff, did you ever buy the Power Ranger Legacy Morpher? Yes, I did, Dante. Chapter Master Dante. Funny story. The reason I own that is because I was at Toys R Us a couple of years ago. They had one with they had a policy at Toys R Us. If the box was damaged, you get 10% off. So I got 10%. It was already marked down to like $30 because it was damaged, and then they gave me another 10% off. So I bought that. So it's the metal one, right? I have the Legacy Morpher. It's a pretty nice collectible. I got my Blue Ranger. I'm looking at it right now. That's the only reason I'm talking slowly, because I can see it on the shelf. I also picked up a Legacy Dragon Dagger because when I graduated from college, I got like $1,000 from graduation money, and I thought, I'm gonna do this comic, I'm gonna make it happen. So I was kind of stretching my money, but I needed money. So I went to Toys R Us, and they had these Legacy Dragon Daggers, and I bought and I sold them for a while because they weren't getting distributed evenly across the country. So I bought every one I could find, and then I made my money back. I was making like a $40 profit per Dragon Dagger. So I pretty much doubled my money over the course of a couple weeks, and I was able to live on that for a while. My build the world-class bullshitters is a lot more interesting than like my daily life. Well, no, actually my daily life right now is pretty goddamn awesome. Yep, I saw Jim Carrey in the Deadpool dancing to Welcome to the Jungle. That was hilarious. Let's see where we're at. Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, I'm becoming Jeremy, the man of 1,001 personalities, Jeff Hicks. Yef Jix. Oh, Gamepad 31. I'm always thinking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'm going to put together a very personal video, my 25-year anniversary of the best Christmas I ever had, Power Rangers 93. I might put that out on Christmas Day just because. I don't know if a lot of people will watch it. I really don't care. I'd love for a million people to watch it. But that was a very good Christmas for me, the greatest Christmas I've ever had. And every year I'm like, man, I'd love to have a Christmas that exciting. A couple of years ago I came close. I think it was 2012. But nothing ever topped that. Let's see. You remember I Come in Peace alien drug dealer movie with Dolph Lundgren and Brian Benben? I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. Oh, man. I can't believe this show's already at the end. Good morning, pop culture. Another success. That's all I can say is it was another successful day. Oh, man. That is my coffee maker going off if you hear that weird squelching sound. Dude, I was born 1 year before Power Rangers was aired in America. Okay, Gamepad 31. So you're just a couple years younger than me. I was 4 when the show came out, and I turned 5 quickly after. So Christmas 93, I was 5 years old. What a great... what do you think? What do you think about Hasbro having the rights to the Power Rangers IP? If they do it right, I'm happy. If you're a collector, GameStop just got the pre-orders for the new Hasbro figures. I think the first Mighty Morphin figures, they come out like 2 Mighty Morphin, 2 this, 2 that, so you can get the entire different sets of Power Ranger figures. The White Ranger and I think the Red Ranger are the first, and you get Lord Zed as well from the original Mighty Morphins. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. Are they going to do movies like Transformers? I don't know. I'm not really... I look at Power Rangers as a great time in my childhood, but I'm so over it as an adult. Jeff, you got to play the Millennial Monopoly game. Not only am I going to be playing it, I actually made plans. We're going to do a live stream of it soon, so be on the lookout. I could give you the exact date now, but I don't want to. I just want to let you guys know that it's coming. Believe me, I pay close attention to what you guys request on the Patreon and the Facebook page and stuff like that, and I always want to give you guys new awesome content to watch. So be prepared for this afternoon, in an hour or so, because the next video from World Class Bullshitters is done. I did it. I completed it. It's done. It's another video that you can't miss. It's not me talking about Star Wars at all. It's actually something really important right now. And guess what? It's a full video that you get to watch the entire time. No articles, no nothing, just straight video content. So you can shut your minds off for 15 minutes and enjoy the video that I made for you, because I had a hell of a time making it. It's funny, the more I go out into the field to film stuff, the more I want to get like real artistic with it and stuff. This one, there's a couple really good jokes, and our buddy Bill Maher pops up in it. It's kind of funny. I wasn't going to make anything about Bill Maher, and then boom, there he was. So if you want a nice Bill Maher joke, the only time Bill Maher will ever make you laugh is in this video that I'm about to put out. So, Jeff, watch I Come in Peace. I will bring you 10 subs from my friends if you don't enjoy it. Deal? I'll give it a shot, Kung Fu. You gotta understand something, guys. I'm always open to watch a movie that I've never seen. If anything, I look for that all the time. There was about a month when I was watching a new movie every week that I'd never seen. That's where Magnum Force came in. And then for a while, I was trying to listen to albums I had never heard before either, but that became too cumbersome trying to listen to an album and do a comic because sometimes I need to focus. And the sound of someone's voice in a podcast is a lot easier for me to draw and listen to than music because sometimes I want to just, get into the music and I can't handle that. So Dr. Coffin Nails, gladly, I will give him a kick in the ass just for you. So, folks, I think it is time to close this out. Now, I should be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow. We'll figure something else out to talk about because I know that Good Morning Pop Culture has become a part of everybody's morning routine, a part of my morning routine. Shit. On days where I don't have the show, it feels a little weird having a morning to be quiet. But I can't complain. You guys make this possible, and as always, thank you very much. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I'm going to go get this new video uploaded, and then I'm going to get back to work on this comic book. Like I said, I got multiple pages done this weekend. The only thing that sucks working digitally is my program crashed, and I had an inked figure, like a face, and it crashed, and I have to re-ink it. But that's okay. Inking with the tools that are on this program really help out. And I'm really, really happy and excited with the way this book is looking. It's looking nice and slick, which is what I want to go for. So I will be back. You guys will get that book. Like I said, it ships from here in February, just like I always told you guys. So be on the lookout for that. So guys, it is time to close this out. Remember, folks, the High Council is this coming Tuesday, tomorrow, on Ethan Van Sciver's channel. So make sure you guys are subscribed there, as well as subscribe to World Class Bullshitters, because we put out content all the time. And also check out Jeremy, because he's a hell of a guy, and he definitely deserves everyone's support, because he works super hard at this. It's funny, if you look, Jeremy and I have a lot of similarities. You look at our lives, where we were before the channels, and you look at where we are now, and it's very interesting to see how we have different lives, but we agree on so many things, and how we came together is truly amazing in terms of the channels and entertainment and stuff. So give him a subscribe as well. But be on the lookout for the video. Now, if the notification doesn't go off, know that it's out. And do me a favor, folks. Give this video a thumbs up and give us a share. Even if you just share to one social media person, check that out as well. And when you leave here, watch any video on YouTube. It helps us out. Believe me, I've seen our growth go up as of late because of all this stuff. So I appreciate everyone out there. Have a good Thanksgiving if you don't hear from me, or if I don't hear from you guys tomorrow. And enjoy the rest of your week. And make sure on Friday morning, if you're not too hungover from all that turkey and booze you consumed on Thanksgiving, watch our live stream of Black Friday. We're going to Target, we're going to Walmart, we're going to Best Buy, we're going to a farm later in the day, and we're going to be drinking and shooting guns and all that stuff too, because that is a celebration of another type. But we'll talk about that later. So I'll see you guys, and until next time, have a good one.